Like, I feel good. I look good today. Like, hey, I'm about to, take a few flicks, blah, blah, blah. And then, I just look good. I want to share that I look good. I feel good.
You clearly, like, you can clearly see you're trying to show off X, Y, and Z, right?
I think it'll be a productive conversation and a fun conversation, interesting conversation. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and answer some of the questions that were sent in earlier this week. So we'll go ahead and talk about those. And if you guys have your thoughts or want to hop on and share your 2 cents, click the button below and feel free to hop on. So,
yes, feel free.
The first question that was asked this week was, is a friend stage necessary, or can that come during the relationship? So the question is the friend stage necessary, or can it come during the relationship? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you know where I'm about to go with this. Men do not want to be your friend, ladies. We don't want to be your friend. I know some of you are like, oh, I have male friends, blah, 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 but those are probably the 1%ers. 99% of men do not want to be your friend. So no, I don't think you have to be friends before you. I think that friendship, that natural bond develops while you're dating.
Okay. Uh-oh. Well, dang, Christian. That is, I'll be honest with you guys, and I agree with them, honestly. I don't think that if you're dating somebody, I don't know, if I'm not going to go try to look for a friend, if I'm going to look for a friend, someone that is a true definition of a friend, someone I can confide in, someone I can hang out with, someone that has the same goals as me, going to the same places I am, likes the same things I like, communicates how I communicate, I'm probably not going to go looking for a woman to do that for me. Because I don't think I'll be able to do that for her very well either. So I'm not saying like they're not good enough or anything like that. I just think there's a difference. And I think that many times if a man wants to be friends with a woman, he's going to have different motives than just,
Right. I mean, think about it. Like, if I like a woman, why would I want to be friends with her? About her dating experiences with another guy.
Right.
Like, at the end of the night, she's going to be like, oh, I went out with Bobby.
You keep breaking up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I keep getting a phone call.
So, okay. So that's one. That's one of the questions. We'll run through these really quick. But there are a whole lot of dating relationships and marriages that haven't had a foundation, and that's why they don't work. Okay. I'll challenge you on this. How many relationships or marriages in the Bible were they friends and they hung out and everything first? So if we're going biblical, I don't see that as a solid example. I'm not saying there's a problem with it. I'm just saying I think the foundation is more of, am I planning on being a good husband? Am I planning on being a good wife? That's more building the foundation and who you're grounded in. So exactly. And that's the point. Yeah. That's the point. The question was, is a friend stage necessary? So that's where I would say no. It shows that it's not necessary. Dating isn't not biblical. It's just not done in the Bible. Like I would say, it's not anti-biblical. Like it's not against the Bible. So, yeah. It's not that it's that it's against or counter biblical or anything like that. It's just people didn't do that.
Right. So, I mean, technically, if it's not in the Bible, then it's not biblical.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your definition of biblical. Like, is it wrong?
So I mean, technically, I guess that's right.
Like, I guess driving cars isn't biblical either, but it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
But no, yeah, it's not necessary. Friends are not. It's not necessary.
Okay. So last three questions, real quick, before go ahead and bring Chris on. How long should you date before proposing?
So I'm not married, but I mean, you could probably speak on this better than I can because you are married.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I don't see the point of waiting like a year and a half to get married. If I propose to you, I know you're the person I want to marry. So why is it taking so long? I'd say like 6 months, maybe. Plan out the wedding, get it done with.
I would say that it depends on the person. It only depends on the person because it depends on the situation. If someone needs to be a little more financially stable or things like that, I can understand why they would postpone that. So there are reasons other than, girl, he's just playing head games with you. He's never going to drop down on that knee and give you the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone is different, but my pastor's wife always says to go through 4 seasons. However, Paul talks about it's better to get married than to burn with lust. Yeah. I think it's good to see someone through a whole year. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, definitely a year.
You don't want to drag it out, but I can understand that there are guys out there who just want to make sure all their ducks are in a row before they go into that because they're taking it serious. And I think sometimes those guys get lumped into the same category as the guy that is just in the church prowling, trying to find the innocent, naive woman to lead her on and everything like that. And far too often, the good guys that are just trying to make sure everything's solid fall in that category.
Yeah.
But that happened to me.
But at the same time, it's like, you want to get stuck dating somebody for like 4 or 5 years and nothing's happening. Because I hear that a lot, especially with women. They're dating guys for like years and they're not married. And it's like all that time went by, right? And it's like you kind of have nothing, like, you have experiences, but there's no ring.
Yeah, but that's where you have to decide whether or not, or use discernment, whether or not he's just leading you on or whether he's actually he has a reason, like what I said.
Right.
And I think it's pretty easy to figure out what those reasons are.
Right.
Okay. Similar question. How long should engagement last?
Okay, I think I answered this question the first time.
Yeah, I think it just depends.
Yeah.
It depends on different factors.
I say like 6 months. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand the whole waiting over a year to get married after you've already proposed.
And I can understand if there's like legal issues and things like that, but I don't think that should be like a line in the sand that says, hey, this is not a good relationship because we're only engaged for this long, etc., or we're dating for too long. I see sadly, I see a lot of women in church being told like these guidelines that are meant as guidelines, and they're almost written down like laws. You know what I mean? So it really just depends, in my opinion. Okay, last one. And this was a very interesting one that we got. So this is the last question. If a woman does not want kids, but she wants to be married, should she remain unmarried and abstinent?
If she doesn't want kids, should she remain unmarried and abstinent?
Right.
Yes.
She wants to get married, but she doesn't want kids.
She wants to get married but doesn't want kids. Okay, so most guys want to get married because they want kids, right? So that's kind of an issue there. But in that case, I would say find a man that doesn't want kids.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what Steph is saying. I think.
But
yeah.
But if you're not gonna if you're not gonna find a man that doesn't want kids and you're gonna stay single, then yeah, you're supposed to stay abstinent in that case, right?
Right.
So those are your options. You either stay abstinent or get married.
Yeah. I think
I gotta
it's
get
the
married.
same. I think it's the same thing where it's like, just find a guy who doesn't want kids too.
Right.
You know, and so that's pretty simple in my eyes. I don't think there's anything like a law in the sand or in the Bible that says that. So I just want to address one question that says, do y'all believe in getting married multiple times if the first one doesn't work out, or one and done? So from a biblical perspective, it's not something that should be taken lightly. And so the understanding from the Bible is that you marry once. Jesus said that you know, in the beginning, it was made for just two people to come together, and the only thing that should separate them is death, right? He gave a few exceptions where it's like adultery, and if the spouse just leaves and you can't make them come back, you know, he gave some exceptions. But the mentality that we've gone into today, where marriage is almost like dating, like I'll test this one out, isn't the healthiest way to go about it. It's not good for families, and it's not biblical as well. But that doesn't mean people who are in that situation or have been in that situation are any less worthy of, a joyful life in the Lord than someone who hasn't. So I just want to put that out there just to make sure to understand the context, that it just because someone's been in that situation doesn't make them a worse person or this or that. It's what are you going to do from now on? Because in I believe it is in like Deuteronomy, one of the books of the law in the Old Testament, talks about if someone marries and divorces, then marries someone else, it is better for them to just stay together, not to start, go back to the person before, especially if there's kids involved, that could cause some issues.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and bring Chris King in here. He's been waiting for a minute. And hey, everybody, thank you for hopping on the live, everybody. And we want to just one more time say thank you for everybody who follows us on TikTok. We finally hit the 5,000 mark. It's a good little benchmark for getting started. So I just want to say thank you. And if you don't follow, check out the YouTube channel and the Instagram. They're both in the link in our bio. So Chris, what's going on, man?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Pretty good. So the topic for this week is, what are some lies that you believe have crept into the church about dating and marriage?
What'd y'all come up with?
So I've got a list. C-Love's got a little list. And we can just go through them one by one and just see what everybody thinks. And people in the comments, share your opinion as well. You want to go ahead and get it started?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
All right, so one of the lies that I think that's told today is the concept that God's going to give me a sign if I should be with this person or not. Right? Like, I think that's...
You think that's a lie, though?
It's not always going to happen, is what I'm saying.
No, that's
It doesn't happen for everybody.
But that doesn't mean it's a lie, though.
Okay, that's a challenge. You can challenge that.
Just because it's not going to happen, and I'm not saying it does happen for everybody, but it does happen, right? So we can't say that that's a lie. That can't happen.
Right.
I think it just depends. I think you can't be just so so fixated on that happening. You know, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, you know, like you said, you got to use your wisdom and kind of knowledge, and you know, like Zach says, you should kind of use your knowledge that he's kind of giving you to be like, okay, would this be a wise decision or a wise choice?
Right.
If not, then you know. But definitely think he says no sometimes, a lot sometimes too, right? It's not always just like a yes. Sometimes you can be like, nah, like this ain't it.
Mm-hmm. And I would say the only lie about that is just the fact that it always happens for everybody.
Yeah.
I would say
That's fair.
to act as if it's a guarantee for everyone would be a lie. But to act as if God doesn't speak to people, whether it's through his word, through other people, or through just to them directly, or through some sort of sign, I think those are all ways God speaks to people. Right. Now, I do think we get in dangerous water when we go looking for signs, because that just shows, like, at the end of the day, we're really trying to find something to make it make sense rather than trusting God to not leave us in a state of confusion, because he's not the author of confusion, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think it definitely can happen, does happen, but I don't think it's a guarantee for every single person.
That's fair.
So, okay, one of the questions I had, or one of the things that I believe is kind of a lie that's crept into the church to an extent about marriage, is I think that there's a verse that's taken way out of context intentionally to make people more comfortable with the word to fit in our culture today. And that is Ephesians 5:20 or 21, I believe it is, where Paul says, submit to each other. And people say husbands and wives are supposed to submit to each other. Mm. And I think that's a lie that's crept into the church, because he's not talking to husbands and wives, right, in that sense. And so I'm curious your guys' thoughts on it, and then people in the comments, if you've heard that in church as well.
I haven't heard it necessarily in church. I think it's like you said, you're taking it out of context. But I don't really hear it in church. I kind of hear it from just, you know, women kind of out there that just kind of says something. They may may have heard it, but they're not looking at it in context. And they kind of just say it to like prove a point, or to kind of, you know, get their argument across and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily I don't think I've ever like heard it in church used with that context of, oh, the man and the wife need to submit to each other. I mean, he's not the church I've been to. But
hey. Someone asked,
what's the verse, and can you read it in context?
Yeah, can you read it in context?
So it is Ephesians chapter 5. There we go. Here we go. Ephesians chapter 5. So we're not going to go through the entire chapter, but I'll go as in context as possible. I'll start up at 15. This is a letter from Paul, writing to a church in Ephesus, I believe is the name of the place. Keep careful watch over your conduct. Do not act like fools, but like thoughtful men. Make the most of your present opportunities, for these days are evil. Do not continue in ignorance, but try to discern the will of the Lord. Avoid getting drunk on wine that leads to debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit, addressing one another with psalms and hymns and inspiring songs. Sing praises to the Lord with all your hearts. Give thanks to God the Father always and for everything in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Defer, well, this is an older version, but defer to one another out of reverence for Christ. And then now it goes into talking about husbands and wives. Wives should be submissive to their husband as if to the Lord, because the husband is the head of his wife, just as Christ is the head of the body of the church, as well as its Savior. As the church submits to Christ, so wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. He gave himself up for her to make her holy, purifying her in the bath of water by the power of the word, to present to himself a glorious church, holy and immaculate, without stain, wrinkle, or any of that sort. Husbands should love their wives as they do their own body. He who loves his wife loves himself. Observe that no one ever hates his own flesh. No, he nourishes it, cares for it, as Christ cares for the church. We are all members of his body. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't start talking about roles of husbands and wives or parents or children until he gets into that. Up until then, he's not talking about marriage. There's no sign that in this letter he's talking about marriage until he says wives, husbands. You know? And if it was meant for that like, hey, husbands and wives submit to each other equally, then there would not be a section.
It would have said that specifically.
He wouldn't have, yeah, he wouldn't have said specifically to wives,
right,
submit to your husbands, and husbands specifically love your wives like Christ loved the church. You know? So that's just one that I've seen creep in. I want to know everyone's thoughts about that. Like I said, I've never heard it preached in a sermon or anything either, but I've heard Christians say it. Right. And you remember, Chris, when we were listening to that YouTube video in the car when we were here about the relationship roles and stuff, and they took that verse and they said, well, he really says submit to each other. So I don't know. That was one. What do you got, Christian? I got another one if you but I kind of want to save it because it's, you know, some of these are kind of spicy.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
If I date and it doesn't work out in marriage, then it was a failure. The dating experience was a failure.
Negative.
Well, if it doesn't end in marriage, or if
it doesn't end in marriage.
Oh, I thought you said the marriage doesn't work out.
Well, yeah, if it doesn't, if you're dating someone and it doesn't end in marriage, then that dating experience was a failure.
Okay. Negative.
Negative?
I disagree with that 1,000%.
Why?
Because I mean, there's so many things that like for one example, right? Like you're only going to do that. That should only happen once, right? When you're dating somebody and then you get married. Like that should only happen one time, right? Because then you're married after that, right?
Right.
So like you can't say that every time you get in a relationship with somebody, it's a failure if it doesn't end in marriage. Maybe you had to learn some things about yourself. Maybe you had to learn how to be in a relationship with somebody. Maybe you had to grow in certain different areas. Maybe you had to see what it was like to think about somebody and be more thoughtful with being in a relationship, right? There's so many benefits, I believe. I mean, hey, everybody's thing, but there's so many benefits into dating that you can't just toss it in the trash can if it doesn't end in marriage, right? Yes, I get, look, marriage is the goal. I understand that. But like, we're all in our process and we're all trying to figure things out. Right. So, part of that is doing life with people and being in a relationship with people, and you're not going to just know everything. Right. So yeah, I mean, I think it's wise. I think you can learn more. And I'm not, obviously you got to have boundaries on the whole dating thing. We're not even getting into that, but I think you can learn more from dating than not dating and all of a sudden want to just jump into a marriage, right? Because you're not going to know. There's so many things you're not going to know, right? Just the dynamic between you and your woman, right? So I think it's important to go out on dates, right? To learn how to do that and have that kind of interaction with the woman. So yeah, I disagree with that. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a failure if it doesn't end in marriage, although that's the ultimate goal.
I would say I agree with you to an extent. If that's the goal and the goal is not achieved, I view that as a failure. Now,
No, I'm gonna challenge you on that. No, I'm gonna challenge you on that. So, because you could say that.
well, let me finish. Let me finish.
All right.
Let me finish. I'm saying if the goal, the mission was to achieve this. Like, let's say if the mission was like, oh, I went to college, I was trying to get a degree, and I flunked out. I would say, okay, I failed. I failed in that particular mission. Doesn't mean I didn't gain other things. Didn't mean I didn't gain anything good. Didn't mean like that there were no benefits from it. But I'm saying if the end goal is this and that goal isn't reached, I would say I failed at reaching that goal. So because of that, I would say it's a failure, not from the sense of there was nothing positive that came from it, but that's how I would look at it. If that's the end goal. Now, if I'm too young to understand that's the end goal and I do it, then maybe that's not a failure.
But here's the thing: who's setting the goal, right? Because we can say that about us, right? Like the goal is to get to the NFL, play in the NFL. Does that mean you're a failure if you didn't make it?
But I said that goal. You failed at that goal.
Let me
finish. It doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you failed at that goal.
Okay, but even then, just because that may be the goal in my head, that doesn't mean that was God's goal for my life.
Right. I never said that. I said that.
So did I really fail?
It means you failed at that thing.
Yeah,
so
that specific thing you failed.
That specific
nah,
thing
I disagree with that. I look at it a different way.
If you're saying that's only if you say the goal of dating is marriage. If you don't believe the goal of dating is marriage, then it's not a failure. And just to say that you didn't that was a failure, it doesn't mean that you didn't gain anything from it. Just like, I mean, I listen to like David Goggins and people like that all the time. When they talk about failure is where you learn more than success. So I think that that it is a failure in the sense of you failed to get married. But what I'm saying is I don't think it doesn't mean you didn't gain anything from it. I think you gain things from failing. There's a reason that you go to failure. There's a reason that you push yourself to failure sometimes. You gain something from it. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't mean that you lose at everything in life. It just means I failed at this, but from failing at this, I learned some things. So if you're dating someone and then you break up and you guys don't get married or whatever, you still came out with new knowledge and understanding new things. So I'm not saying that you're a failure. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying from my perspective, if that was my goal, it's like, okay, hey, I failed at this because I didn't understand this or she didn't understand that. But it doesn't mean that all is lost. I still gained something from it.
That's fair. So I'm going to say this. So I retract back what I said. For me, the goal is not, when I'm getting in a relationship, the goal is not strictly like marriage. That's not the goal. Okay. My goal is to add value to that person in any way. Now, if it so happens to turn into a marriage with me being intentional with that and everything, then cool. But that is not my goal from the first part, because my goal is to add value to that person's life and hopefully the same in return. And in that sense, I'm never going to fail, right? Because I'm always going to add value to that person.
Right. And I think the key is to try to leave them off better than you found them, almost. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. It's like, because I think there's a lot of pressure, especially put on guys in church, where it's like, you're dating her, you got to marry her. It's like, no. The whole dating thing is to find out if I could marry her. Now, if I know that I can't, then I'm not going to marry her. But at least I look at it as like, I don't see marriage as my goal, but I see it as like, the goal is to figure out whether or not I want to get married to her. And if I find out that I don't, then you're right. You can't fail, because now you know, oh, I don't want that, or she doesn't want me, etc. So there's no failure if it's looked at in that light. But I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it, how like in church sometimes you start dating a girl and then automatically they're like, you need to go ahead and get married. It's been a couple weeks now. She's ready. And it's like, now that leads people to failure. And I think that leads people to failure in marriage too. So, we've got a request real quick. So for everybody that just hopped on, we're trying to keep the request to like 3 minutes. But Go ahead. We got a request real fast. So.
Yo.
Hey.
How you doing?
Hey, your camera's sideways. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I'm always on here studying. This is my second time on. But I think y'all argument was basically the same thing. Y'all was basically giving the same argument just from a different perspective.
Yeah, we were just splitting hairs on the definition of the word.
For some reason my stuff is like not loading.
No, we can still hear you. Well, now we can't.
Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, y'all basically was giving the same argument because even when you came back around, you was like, well, I can understand where you might not be failing because you learn. You figure out that maybe I'm not suitable for this person. But I feel like you're dating to see if you're compatible with that person in the beginning.
Right.
Yes, the end goal is marriage, but everybody you date, you're not going to marry. So
hopefully not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
So,
at the same time, you're going into the dating relationship with the marriage mindset.
Right.
So I'm thinking,
that's like I'm going into a dating relationship and I'm saying, hey, I want to get married one day. And they be like, oh, marriage isn't my goal. So I dated you, but we don't have the same goals. And the only reason I figured it out is because I dated you.
And so be honest, y'all, like, to what extent, because people be like, oh, like you're going into the relationship with the marriage intention and stuff like that. Is that really wise to a certain extent? Like, don't get me wrong, I understand, like, if you see like certain red flags that like obviously this woman is not gonna be a good wife or whatever, obviously it made no sense to date that person, right? But to just go in it from the jump of like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get married soon within whatever amount of years and X, Y, and Z. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it puts a lot of unnecessary. Huh?
I think from a woman's perspective, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
It off a lot of men. Like y'all say no because you guys are pursuing marriage. I'm like I said last time, I'm saved. I'm pursuing marriage, but a lot of people aren't pursuing marriage. So it comes with its pros and cons.
right. Okay. So if you're not pursuing marriage, then what are you doing?
Right. So that will tell
adding value.
That will give me a reason to like, okay, I'm not investing. Went on a date and that was that.
So here's my issue with the whole I'm just adding value thing. I come into it with the marriage mindset. If we were playing football, Chris, because we all play football so we can relate to this. You're on a team, right? And if the end goal is to raise up the championship, go to the Super Bowl, that's what marriage is. Marriage is a Super Bowl. You wouldn't start the season off with, well, I'm just going to add some value to the team, and then whatever happens, happens. No, I'm going into the season thinking I'm going to the Super Bowl.
No. I'm calling BS on that because if you
whatever
look at the majority,
happens.
Like
we go 3-7, it happens.
Hold on,
like,
that sounds all great and dandy. Oh, the first day of practice, the goal is to win the Super Bowl. X,
that's
Y,
the
and
goal.
Z. But hold on. And I get that, but that's not practical. It's here's what you got to do every day. You're saying I have to add as much value to be the best player I can on that day. You take it one practice at a time. You take it one game at a time.
Right.
You're not going to win the Super Bowl on the first day. It ain't going to happen. I don't care who you are. So if you're looking so future mindset, it's not going to turn out how you want it to.
And
I agree with what you're saying.
The correlation is off because you have a team full of people who you already committed to. Y'all have a goal. This person, you're trying to see if they're worth the commitment and they're worth the goal.
Okay,
and
but
just like you said, y'all there to bring value. They might be bringing in value to your life.
So the thing
that you're supposed to get married to them.
The point that C Love was making, which honestly, you guys are kind of making the same point. What C Love was saying was like, that's the end goal, right? Is what he's saying. And then Chris, you're saying, yeah, but to get to that end goal, you've got to do this. You've got to come every day, add value to the team. You've got to do the things you need to do on a daily basis.
And if you do that, that's going to take care of itself if it's meant to happen.
So you're saying, so Chris, you're saying, what it seems like is you're saying, take care of the
present,
the process, and don't worry about the results.
And Inky Johnson says it all the time. He's like, stop being so results driven, like with the goal or with the future thing. All you got to do, because sometimes it's not even about if you obtain the goal, it's about who you become through the process, right? So if every day you're going into the relationship or whatever it is in life, to be honest, with the fact that, hey, I'm going to be the best I can be, I'm going to add as much value I can be, I can do all these things in this moment. When that time comes, if God wants it to happen, then it'll happen. If that's for you, it's going to be for you, right? If not, then don't look at yourself, oh, it's a failure. I did this. I messed up here, X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. Just say, you know what? I'm going to add value. I'm going to be the best person I can be in this relationship at this moment, at this time.
Hey, remind us of your name one more time.
Oh, my name's Mikkel.
Mikkel, thanks for hopping on.
No problem.
If you want to hop back on again, feel free.
Okay.
So,
Zach.
I agree, but
that's not what I'm talking about. But anyway.
Wait, what's not what you're talking about?
No, I'll talk to y'all about it later.
So I think that look, I think I lean more on the side of Chris than you guys think, because I've been in the situation where people will try to push guys like, hey, go ahead and get married, do this, do that, and at the end of the day, you don't know if you're going to get married to that person until you've gone through the process. So while I do think, this is what I'll say. Because this is what I think C Love is trying to say, Chris. There are guys that will take advantage of the fact that, hey, I don't have to tell them my intentions. I don't even plan on ever getting married.
That's fair.
So I think in that way, it's just like, okay, at least let the person know that hey,
it's not a chance of happening.
Yeah. Like if there's no chance in it happening, let them know. But I agree with C Love in that point. But when it comes to if I'm dating someone, I'm not obliged to like marry them.
Right.
There's no like, there shouldn't be a like an agreement of, oh, you date me, you've got to marry me. I don't think that that's how it should be. If anything, I think the goal should be leave them better off than they were when you met them. Now, try to figure out while you're dating if it's someone you would want to marry. Now, if you know that you're never going to marry this person, at that point, that's where I think, okay, it's probably a waste of time in that sense. That part, at least make the intentions clear.
Yeah. So like once you know, cut it off and let that person know, hey, I don't see this really going too far, X, Y, and Z, yada, 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 and be upfront about that. But like from the standpoint of like going, like every time a woman goes into a relationship, she's automatically expecting it to end in marriage. Sweetheart, you might want to work on that. Because I mean, look, I know it sounds all good.
Marriage is the goal.
Wait, let him finish.
I get all that. But, yeah, see, love, for 32 teams, that's always the goal to win the Super Bowl.
It's the goal to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it sounds good, but everybody don't have a shot to win the Super Bowl.
Right, but that's the goal, though.
Again, it sounds all good and fine and dandy, but look, if you're not even, for example, like, and we're turning into like a relationship context.
Okay.
If you're not even healed from your past relationships, if you still have father drama or X, Y, or so many different things, right, that you haven't even dealt with, you're not even a contender, right? Like you're not even a contender to be in the Super Bowl. So sometimes, you have to meet new people and have new experiences and talk to certain people and to, break down those walls or those trust issues or whatever that you have going on in order so you can be prepared for that wife when you meet her, or for that husband when you meet her. You could just go on social media or whatever. There's so many people that says, because I was in a relationship with you, although it didn't end like we wanted to, right, or crash and burned or whatever, I've learned so much about what I need, what I want, what I need to do better at, that made me a better husband or wife for my husband, right? That's not a failure. That's a win. Because if you didn't go through that experience, you might have had to learn all those two things with your wife that you had now. And it could have been hurting her, right? So I don't know. Sometimes I just try to not think of it all in that aspect and just try to, like you said, take the value of that situation, that moment for what it is.
Now, okay. Now, what if someone knows they are not?
Get out.
Okay. Like if they know they're not like, because I would argue with the girl that says, hey, well, I'm still broken with my daddy issues and stuff. You don't need to be dating guys expecting those guys to fix that for you. You need to fix that before you even get back into the dating market. That's what I would say, personally. But I agree. Like, I don't think there's a balance. I would say, like, there's the balance of, like, we don't want to open the doors for any guy to just be like, yeah, I don't need to tell my intentions. And then they do whatever. But we also don't need to go to the extreme where it's like, because I've been there, where it's like you're dating a girl and you're trying to get things figured out, whether it's financially or whatever. And you're trying to figure out, okay, do I want to marry you or not? And then everyone starts throwing on you, well, if you don't, you must be one of those guys just trying to waste your time, and blah, 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 blah. So I get what Chris is saying because I've been there before.
Right, I get it too. But my thing is this. It's about being intentional, right? So why, when it comes to dating, you're not going to have that same intentionality that you would in any other aspect of life? You wouldn't go to school, you wouldn't go to college and just say, well, I'll just show up to this class and I'll just put my best foot forward. And if I graduate in the end, then that's what happens. No, you're going to be intentional about it. Your goal is to graduate in 4 years. So you're going to show up every day and try to make sure that happens, right? Same concept.
So you're basically saying your actions on a day-to-day basis should be leading in that direction. It shouldn't be leading in the opposite direction.
Right. You should be leading toward that goal that you have, which is marriage.
We've got another request. Guys, remember, you can click the request button. Feel free to hop on. And we've got a question that we need to address right after we finish this one, because we got a question that was just sent in. But if you want to join, you have something to say, it's going to be really quick. Just send a request to join, and you can hop on.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm back. I seem to always catch when I'm doing my hair, but I just want to say that, like, I don't think you should compare marriage to a Super Bowl. Maybe a car. Like, you know how you go in a dealership and you want a car and you shop. You don't necessarily have to basically want marriage right then while you're dating. But at some time in the time frame while you're looking at that car, you decide you want to take it home. That's how marriage should be, because you don't have to shop in that dealership. There's multiple dealerships. And dating, well, that's how dating is. There's multiple dealerships. You can test drive one. You can, look at that car. And maybe if you don't want that, you can go to another dealership. You don't have to be like, because everybody's not meant for marriage. Like, if you decide you just going to date somebody just because you want to settle, you don't know if that person has mental issues. You don't know if that person's like legit crazy. And then you're just pushing somebody. But yeah, you can shop around. Like, you shouldn't basically just settle for one thing just because everybody's basically telling you that you and that person look good together, or your parents are like, you should get married. And this is the standard that they've set, and this been a tradition because you're dating somebody. Don't let nobody pressure you into basically marrying somebody just because you hear everybody talking. Like, you shop around, you do what you do, and do what makes you feel comfortable. Sorry, y'all, I talk exactly too fast.
Right. No, it's I'm a little confused because I went from like dealership to parents, and so
thank you, Christina.
Give me the first point first, real quick.
I feel like the goal is to buy a car. Like, the goal is marriage, to get the car.
Okay.
But you don't have to go, you see parents be trying to set you up at this, basically, you should go to this person and go date this person, or you do this, and then you have friends trying to set you up with this person. It's okay to shop and look around those dealerships, but make sure you go to one where you feel comfortable and one where you feel like that you want it. Don't do marriage just because somebody else tells you that, like, it's something that you should do, or society, like I said, like last week, that society tells you, like, it looks good and all. Because I agree with Chris, like, I don't think that like I got a date and the end, you know, everybody says the end game should be marriage, but like for me right now, I know that like I'm not ready for marriage because I'm selfish. Like I'm
And
too
wait a
selfish
minute.
right now.
Last week, didn't you say you didn't want to get married or something like that?
Yeah, I said I'm selfish. I said that last week.
So
I
so
said
you
it's
don't.
gonna come.
So
It's gonna come eventually, but like not right now. I gotta work on me.
so right now you're in the phase where you just want to go to different dealerships, test drive them out. No intention on buying the car. Take it back and I'll test drive another one.
But see, love,
Kinda.
think about it. Like every car you test drive, you don't have the intention of buying it.
Exactly.
Why are you going to the dealership just test driving cars?
Because
No,
you know you
So
want a car.
okay, you want to see? Hey, I'm trying to see how this one. I'm trying to see how this one rides. That don't mean I'm gonna actually purchase it, but there might be another one. But there's no way you can see.
And
Oh
there
man,
might be one that catches your eye that you
right.
unexpectedly you say you don't want it.
That's hoping though. We're hoping. There's no intentionality behind that. It's just hope.
And if
Maybe
you
it
always
might
basically
happen.
intentionally of your intention is marriage, you might end up marrying the wrong person just because you have that feeling that you want to get married. And then you be stuck in a situation you can't get out because you feel like because you're a Christian, they look down on basically on marriage and divorces.
Okay, remind me your name one more time.
Karina or Coco, whichever
Karina.
one.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. In this like dealership like metaphor, you're saying that you plan on buying a car.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not saying I know I'm not buying a car, but I'm still gonna waste the miles on this one, waste the miles on that one. I'm never gonna buy a car.
Not wasting. You can't go in the dealership and waste the miles. Like they're not gonna allow you to do that. You can go and look.
But
like
in real life, people allow people to do that. So I'm asking, like,
That is their decision. Like, that's a personal choice. That don't have anything to do with just like, you know, somebody metaphorically. That's a choice. If you sit there and you realize and you let this person waste your time and you know that they're not basically settling for marriage, that is your choice, not that person. Nobody made you do that but you.
Co-Cross said, don't waste the salesman's time.
So that's kind of the point that I'm making. I don't think Chris...
Don't waste the salesman's time. If you're going to buy a car, you're not just gonna go and get the first car you see. And sometimes you don't even have, when you go to the dealership, they don't really be out there like that. You just be walking around looking.
Right. So
you see there's about 100 cars out there on a dealership, basically about 50 or 100 to 100 cars, and you know, like you ain't gonna go in there for one specific car. You're looking. You said just look online instead.
Some people do, but don't worry about the comments. I guess my question is, because it seems like it's kind of hopping back and forth on the fence. I thought like we were all on the same page of like, I want to get married one day. I don't know if it's to you, but I know I want to get married. Now it seems like we're going to the side of, I don't want to get, like, it's okay to be like, I don't want to get married ever, and I'm still going to test drive.
Oh, it's not ever for me. It's like one day, like you said, one day, not hopefully, like right now, I don't see it like too close in the future, but it's one day. But like, I'm not about to sit here and just settle just because people tell me I'm going to settle or my dad decides like this man is the man for me. I'm not about to do that. Like I always been
I agree with you. You shouldn't settle.
I always. If it don't fit for me, it's not for me. And if it don't come for God, if God don't tell me and I don't get no type of basically approval and I feel like, and I pray and God will speak to me and I feel like the decision I make is wrong, then I'm not about to sit there and stay with that person. Because I have cut off plenty people just for being, you know, what I feel like is not right for my choice. Like,
that's a good question. Right.
And the fact that like people, sometimes you can see their red flags and people will sit there entertain red flags just because they feel like their family members or friends telling them that's the person for them is absolutely foolishness to me.
So we're not, I don't think any of us are talking about like Christian or Chris King. I don't think any of us are saying like talking about parents pushing people on people or friends pushing people on people. I think it's more so just, you know, making your intentions clear, you know, but I think that's a good analogy. I agree with what you're saying. I think, if it's nowhere near in your future and you don't think, I think that it's good to get over some of the things first before even dating. But it's your call. It's not, like with the selfishness, I think it's good to come out of the selfishness before even going in the dealership.
Yeah, like because right now,
make sure if you're already in like $200,000 worth of debt, and then now you're going to try to buy a car, I would say go ahead and get some of that debt taken care of before you try to finance for yourself.
And that is true because I'm not dating nobody with debt. And the fact that I have to say it's my father's fault for basically kind of spoiling me. And so like most guys are not up to my standards, so I just don't date right now. I'm just like completely selfish, and the stuff that most women will accept, I'm not about to sit there and accept.
What are your standards?
For me right now, like if you ain't got your own shit, I don't want to talk. I mean, love me. If you ain't got your own stuff, I don't want to talk. Like as simple as that. Like a car, I'm not about to date nobody without a car.
Okay.
Like I legit had one of those since I was 16, so.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we've got some more people trying to hop on here. We appreciate the analogy. Thanks for hopping on. Always feel free to hop back on again.
Thank y'all. I love your page.
Yeah. Thank you for following.
And follow all y'all on TikTok.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support. And thank you for hopping on.
So I think we kind of hammered that one home. Okay, we got some questions. Let's go to these questions before we bring some more people in. Okay, first question we had from Christina. As men of God, so you guys feel equipped to wash her in the water of the word, and cultivate her.
What was the question?
What was it?
It says, as men of God, do you guys feel equipped to, like in Ephesians, how it says, wash her in the word? Do you feel equipped to do that?
Is that a trick question? Yeah. Well, one, you're already doing it. I mean, you're married.
Right.
So I guess that's more to us. So, yeah.
And I would say washing, someone broke it down to me like this. Washing her in the word is letting the word do the work almost. Like the more you bring the word, it's the one doing it. So, I think.
But yeah, I mean, I don't. Man, I mean, I guess people don't really know us. Like, I mean, they only know from what they've seen on social media and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's like a given from all three of us, and just how we live our lives and the amount of spiritual maturity where we're at and stuff like that. That's not necessarily in my perspective, I don't think that's necessarily a difficult thing to do. You know what I mean? Because especially when you spend so much time in the word and talking about it and being involved with it and bouncing ideas and stuff off of each other and stuff like that, washing a woman in the word and stuff like that and cultivating her and bringing out those aspects. I don't think that's necessarily a difficult thing. I know for me and all my past relationships, I think they can, I think it's safe to say that I did it with them as well. So,
I guess the only hard part about it would be continuing washing, even if you're not like, man, I'm not seeing the results yet. That would be the only thing that I could see as hard about it.
I agree with that.
But other than that, I mean, what do you think, C-Love?
I pretty much agree with what Chris said. But when you say washing, is it like, does that kind of signify that you're unequally yoked in that sense?
Not really. I mean, but everybody's going to be on different levels, right? So, I mean, you're still going to have to cultivate certain aspects of her into the woman that, she's called to be. Byron said it a perfect way. And I think we talked about this before too, just not off camera or whatever. that, you know, no woman is a 10, right?
Right.
She might be a 9, but what you need to do, because it's your responsibility, is to cultivate that one and pull that one out of her. And it could be spiritually, it could be mentally, it could be emotionally, it could be, you know, a combination of all those things.
Yeah, it'll probably be a combination.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll get through these questions real quick, and then we're gonna bring some other people on. We got 2 more people in the request. What?
I see that. I see. I ain't mad at you.
She said, I'm a 10.
Right. You better have that confidence.
Where's your husband? What is the boy?
All right, he's actually gonna come on.
No. I'm asking.
The way you said it.
What is the boy in the hat? What is the boy in the hat's definition of dating?
The boy?
Yeah. It says, what is the boy in the hat's definition
of dating? That's like, I mean, come on now. Can we be respectful? Like, that's not even.
Who said that?
I'm about to bring her on real quick. She probably just typed it really fast.
I hope so.
Dang, y'all about to go in. First of all, I tried to put like man in a star, but it would not let me change.
I'm just saying. I mean,
it was when I was like, oh, that's kind of harsh. I'm trying to type fast because y'all talking so fast, and you know it's moving so fast. So my
okay, because if you trying to throw some shade, we could change this whole show.
No, I don't know.
Because I know how to get down too.
I don't know y'all to throw no shade. I'm on here with my bonnet on. And
you messing with some real jokesters over there, you know?
No, I'm just messing with you.
I throw jokes too, so I mean, but I'm sorry, I did not mean to say boy. I meant to say man.
No, we're just messing with you.
But you could kind of skip over my question. I had another question. You had I do not know your names. The light-skinned man. Zach. You made the comment that you don't feel comfortable dating dating or marrying a woman with daddy issues. And I kind of was taken back by that, which I agree we need to be healed or going through a healing process before we get married. But God had been dealing with me because I felt like I've been through a healing process. As I stated before when I was on the other live, I've been single for 4 years. So I've been in my single season for 4 years, and God has matured me. And my problem was, okay, when you send me my husband, he has to be on this level. He can't be coming to the table with all this baggage because you walked me through this baggage and I had to walk alone. But God had to reveal to me, like, okay, you want him to be perfect? Because if I'm blessing you with a husband, you're supposed to help heal his heart. You're supposed to pray for his heart. You're supposed to help get him there. He could be perfect today and something can trigger him tomorrow and he go back. So I'm not really understanding what you meant by that, but can you explain?
Yeah. So I wasn't saying that I wouldn't date. Well, first of all, I'm married. But
ain't no more dating anyway.
So that's kind of out of the picture. But I would say that when it comes to like the issues, the main thing that I thought I said, and maybe we can run it back on the replay, but my intention was saying that someone who has those issues, their first intention should be, rather than trying to find someone that can fix it for me, I should let God heal that in me right now. So I'm not saying, hey, guys, if she's got these issues, don't go for her. I'm saying to the woman or the man who has those issues, instead of you trying to find someone right now, be comfortable in letting God heal you and fix that. So you're bringing in the least amount of baggage that you can. Everyone's going to have some baggage, right? It's going to happen. But you want to bring in the least amount that you at least possibly can, because there's going to be things in marriage once you're married that you didn't realize that you had. But at least the things that you realize you have, why would you want to bring extra and then make your spouse have to deal with that? So the thing is, try to fix the things, or let God fix the things that's going on in you that you notice now. And then to where Now all they've got to help you with is, the things that you have that you didn't even notice you had, if that makes sense.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that you explained it.
Yeah. So I wasn't saying, someone who has these issues is undateable. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, looking inward, try to figure out the issues that you have. And that was just an example I threw out while I was rambling. But,
Yeah, that's why that self-awareness is really key. You know what I mean? To be very self-aware, knowing your triggers, knowing the things you got to work on, traumas you kind of got to work through before you just dive into another relationship, right? If you can handle all those things before, then, it's just wise to handle that before. And look, like you said, we're all humans. We're all going to have issues and stuff that we're going to bring into a marriage or a relationship. But if you can handle it before, it's wise to do some of that work alone.
And I think somebody in the comments said something really good. I think it said Beth. They were like, their husband was the only one that had grace to deal with what their issues were. That God gave them grace to deal with their issues, which that makes sense. If that's who God appointed me to, He's going to be understanding on certain issues because God made us to be compatible. And
I would just say don't.
So that goes back into the
don't take
whole
advantage of that though. Like, just generally speaking, like don't take advantage of the fact that that's not an excuse for you not to do the work on your own.
Right. Oh no, that's not excuse to heal, because we're supposed to heal. But you can help me and I can help you. Don't get me wrong. Women do it all the time. And I found a lot of my friends in toxic relationships. I have myself been in toxic relationships where I saw the potential in a man that didn't see the potential in himself. And because I wasn't in tune with God, I was trying to help fix that person and becoming an idol. And then they were only doing it to be with me. And then when they felt like they didn't want to be with me, or it was too hard to be with me, they want to go back to these weird ways. And it's like, you're not trying to do it for yourself. So,
well, okay. Right. Yeah, appreciate it. We have 2 more people in the request. That was a good question. I'm glad she asked it so I could clear that up, because I don't want to be, easy things can be taken out of context today.
Right.
So, okay, let's go ahead and run through one of these questions real quick, and then we'll bring on the next person in the request. What model or process are we using for dating? Are we trying to have godly relationships? So what is the biblical model for this? Maybe God never intended for dating to be the road we use to get to marriage.
So
address that first.
I think you can. I mean, obviously, I'm sure nobody saw the one like when it feasts. He said, okay, that's fair. Don't just bring up problems and issues. So what would be the solution? What would be a better solution for that then? Arranged marriages, right? Like don't just say, okay, that's not biblical. Did God say that? Okay, so what would be the alternative, right? And I'm open, and like y'all can write in the comments, what would be the alternative to that? Arranged marriages, or what?
I personally think that, and let me give my reasons. I think that arranged marriages would be better because they have a higher success rate. Now, I will say this. I agree with what Chris is saying on that, and that point is like, but I come from a different angle. It's like, we are in a society and a culture where you are not going to find someone who is going to be willing to sell his daughter to you. It's not going to happen. Like, unless you're in some part of the world, remote part of the world where it still happens. You're not going to find someone that happens. So knowing that dating is the only route right now to get married, it may not be the most reliable or the best one, but it's the only one that we have. So in understanding that, why not try to use biblical wisdom and have conversations like we're having right now? This is why we're having these lives every week, is so we can discuss these things and figure out, what works, what doesn't, and what is probably wise. and good in God's eyes and what isn't. And that comes through prayer, reading the word, and having these conversations with people like this.
Right. Or you can just download Tinder and go from there.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. Okay. One more question. These questions just keep coming in. One more question, then we'll go ahead and bring somebody else on. So, when does emotional transparency become too much to receive?
What do you mean to receive? I understand in terms of like when, like, so you're asking like when should somebody be 100% emotionally transparent with that person, or what is too much for somebody else to handle? Because I think that really depends on the person, you know.
What was the question again, Zach?
It said, what does, for the person that wrote it, go ahead and type in the comments what you mean by this. When does emotional transparency become too much to receive?
Emotional transparency.
I think they mean by like,
oh, like too much to handle.
Yeah, so like when you're opening up with somebody and like you dumping everything, like everything you got, right? You bringing all the baggage, the issues, the daddy issues, this, that, experience, like everything, right? When does it become too much to handle? I think it really, it really depends on the person, to be honest, right? Because some people like, and this is not me, or so what is just for example, right? Some people can be like, hey, if a woman has trust issues, like, or has daddy issues, I'm not trying to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Like, I'm not trying to deal with that. So that could be too much for that person, right? Now I don't think that should make you be just so reluctant to just being open up to be emotional and transparent with somebody you date. Right, but you got to also understand you can't control their reaction to what you're to how transparent you are with them. Right, all you can do is put it on the table, and how they receive it or how they react from it, you just kind of got to live with that, right? And that's kind of part of it, right? Because you can't put on this stuff on the table and they be like, hey, I'm not really feeling this. I mean, I'm sorry, I know that sounds bad, but I'm just not really feeling this. You can't then get mad at them for not wanting to deal with something that they already was like, no, I'm just not. That's not what I want to do.
If anything, it filters out people that you probably shouldn't be with.
Right.
Or it's just not compatible, right? And it's not like nothing bad, right?
It's not bad. It's just you probably wouldn't. You'd probably be better off not being with that person.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring in Carl real quick. He's the next in line.
Yo,
what's going on?
What's going on, Carl?
What up? What up? What's going on, y'all?
Not much.
What's up, Benny?
A lot's been said.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot's been said.
A lot's been typed, too.
Yeah, a lot's been typed.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on all this?
I'm kind of jumping in on the middle of everything. So basically, what's been said is about Christian dating and marriage. Yeah.
So
what's the end game? Is what basically.
Oh, that was earlier. Yeah, we talked about dating with intention was my thing.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's such a broad. It really depends on the person.
Yeah.
It depends on both the people, actually. If one person wants to be married and this other person does not, that's already a broken relationship.
Right.
It's all about communication. But if two people don't want to be married, but they rather date, and somehow their end game is not really the actual, title of marriage.
Yeah.
But they still enjoy being together, and that part's not broken. Everything is connected.
That could work for those two people.
Yeah.
But what is that, though?
What?
Like,
Why?
what is that?
See, look, there's a lot of people.
We're just kind of
lot
like
of
just
people.
together, just kind of hanging
Look,
out, having a good
there's
time.
togetherness. It's
Just going to go back to my original analogy about the
yeah.
Super Bowl. Just going to practice, playing the game, just going home. Like,
Why do you
But-
use that
But
voice?
a lot of how many players you know just enjoy going to practice, getting that paycheck, and being good.
And they're losers.
So the thing is, though,
Are they though?
in their case, that's not practice. That is the game.
Right. Yeah. Hey. That's a fair argument.
And I think at the end of the day, the key thing is before going into it, I think it's smart to know where everyone's at, so that you're at least there's no unmet expectations. You know what I'm saying?
I do know plenty of people that went into a relationship not even thinking about marriage, and they want to grow with this person and everything. You know, time changes, and then they're like, oh, wait, I do want to marry this person. But again, it goes to communication, and the person's still on the same page from like day one, like they're not going to get married. Right. Now, that person that wants to be married is going to stay with them thinking that the same thing is going to happen to them. Their mind's going to change later on. And now it's X amount of years and there's no forward progress. That has to end.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So with those two people, like, where does it stop? If we're both just kind of going along with the flow,
as soon as
we don't really have that intention. We're just kind of going along with it. 2 years goes by, 3 years goes by, 4, 5, 6, 7 years goes by. No ring, no nothing. We're just kind of maybe shacking up at this point, just just together.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you find out, as soon as your mind changes on the status you want the relationship to be, that needs to be discussion right then and there. And if that person isn't about it and doesn't feel like it's going to change, it's still it has to end, regardless of the years and the connection that you had. Now it's just a learning process of what you do like, or what you look for, what you don't look for in a partner. Then when you go into your next relationship, that is the learning experience you can bring into it, the communication and everything like that.
Well, okay. I mean, so I think for me, I think that's where people don't, especially women, don't have that much time to waste, right? So I think it's important for men to go into, when they seek a woman and they want to date a woman, to go into it with a marriage mindset, to not waste that woman's time. Because women don't have forever to date you and then figure out if they want to get married.
If she wants
to if you want to marry them.
I mean, if she wants, I mean, women, I don't know if it's a necessarily man or woman thing, because a woman could have been hurt in a previous relationship type of thing, and she could not want to get married, and he wants to get married, he wants a family, he wants the marriage, so
I got a question, Sheila, too.
Yeah,
So by that standard, you don't never talk to a woman or holler at a woman or whatever unless you see yourself marrying that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think his definition of see himself marrying him isn't, I know I'm going to marry. And if I'm wrong, correct me. I think what he's saying is, if I know I'm not going to, then I'm not going to go after that person. Like, for example, if you're,
but that's two different things.
Huh?
That's two completely different things, though.
Right, but I think that those terms are easily confused. That's all I'm saying. Because I think, we've had these conversations plenty of times, and it's kind of, we kind of land on the same mark about it. But, yeah.
I think my main thing with dating, with any type of relationship, has to do with communication and what you're looking for and what you want the outcome to be. I think going into dating, if you know mentally that eventually I'm going to get married, cool. but I don't think that you can go into immediately dating being like, you're going to be the one or you're not going to be the one. You have to let it grow, because some people, they're going to have walls up, you know?
Right.
And so you might not know if that's your true person unless if you keep talking and learning, and then you're like, oh, well, they have all their walls down. They're completely vulnerable now. And I'm completely vulnerable. Now we can see where we're going to grow together.
Right. You need to be able to see who this person really is before making that decision.
Yeah.
But no, we got two ladies ready to hop on.
All right.
You know, we got to take priority with the ladies. You know what I mean? But thanks for hopping on. And I think that's the key that a lot of people are missing, is that there's not enough communication. And then figuring out who that person is. He has a good point, because it takes time to realize who that person really is. And so the idea of like, once we're dating, we're married, well, I may find out some things that I don't want to marry.
Yeah.
You know, and you just want to keep that, open at least.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for hopping on. Feel free to hop on anytime.
You know, yep.
Okay, someone said, let's get Mr. Kevin on this live. Okay. Soul Bree, and then we got Christina. And then we got some more questions, too.
Oh, wow. I didn't know I was connecting that fast. Sorry.
Hey.
I thought this topic was interesting because, hello, everyone. I personally feel like,
doing?
as a believer,
I said, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Doing good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the topic is kind of, different, and it's a little difficult for believers because we have this idea and we have a structured concept of what we believe marriage should be. First and foremost, like, it's like one of the highest forms of honoring God. And we know that dating with intent is coming from not just like a biblical standpoint, but then like your sense of morals and like your standards or expectations. I think that some people, especially for women, when I was reading the comments, it's, even as a believer, it's not as easy as like, okay, like I'm gonna date to marry, and wanting to go in with that mindset with every guy that might want to court us, because we unfortunately have to deal with the stereotypes of not wanting to become a nag or not wanting to seem like we're trying to scare the guy off. Obviously, we should like know our worth, and we want to be like subtle and graceful about it, but it's just not as easy for women, especially like, unfortunately, like the comment was kind of funny, but it's like, it's kind of sad when you hear things like 27 to 35 is the danger zone, because obviously as women, as one of you gentlemen stated, as we get older as women, it's more difficult because, we are the ones to carry, and we want to, have children, and we have to worry about the whole egg count versus sperm is like inevitable.
Right.
It's just like, I think it's just like a difficult situation when we already know like the woman to man ratio. What is it, like 4 women to like every 1 man,
I think it's actually closer to like 50-50.
What do you mean?
Is it? Like in the world?
No, but Zach, you got to count on men that are married and men that are gay, and then men that are obviously like eligible bachelors. Like, what's the honest ratio?
Well, I'm just talking about ratio in terms of just like gender in general.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about like eligible bachelors between men and women, I think women outweigh men completely.
Yeah, and then realistically, like, come on, if you want to throw in the race factor, especially with, I know so many women like within our culture, like if you would pray and hope that your husband is a black man, like with most of our men being locked up or just, not being like, it's just so many different things to factor in. And I don't want to make it about race at the end of the day, because like, I mean, obviously like who you love is who you love.
But it's real, but yeah.
Right, and I just think that I don't want to be like the woe is me and like victimized mindset when it comes to like the whole like women and dating thing, but because I'm all about accountability, and I'm all about doing your part and holding yourself to a certain standard and walking in the spirit of wife, and as far as like when you're dating and when men are seeking you.
But I think that we have to, it would be unfair to not point out the barriers and the, you know, the different types of stereotypes that we have to deal with while trying to date, especially when you're dating to marry.
Okay. So, first thing I want to say, for everybody that wanted to check the Carfax, there are more men than women on planet Earth. Just so people know. It's like 51-49%. Okay? I wasn't going to let that go. I'm kind of petty, things like that. So I just want to say that. And this is the question that I want to ask the women, because I've had this question for women in church in general, is when you say, when there's the 1-to-4 ratio, now it's, the 1-to-4 of ratio in terms of like, the kind of guy that I actually want, right? And that's perfectly fine. But here's the problem. The only problem is when you have been told in church, and this is one of the other lies we're going to talk about, and I'm not pointing this at you, so I'm not trying to offend or anything, but it's just something that's told in church. When there is this idea from church and Disney, that I don't have to change anything about myself, and all I have to do is be me, and a guy will come and sweep me off my feet. And a lot of women don't understand this concept until they're 23, 24, the danger zone, as you say, once the clock is ticking. Because when they're younger in high school and middle school, a lot of guys are so focused on, she's beautiful, she's beautiful. There's foolish little boys, she gets attention. She thinks, this attention is going to come all the time. And then when men start becoming wiser, or boys start becoming wiser and older, they realize, I don't want those qualities that she had when it comes to spiritually, emotionally, and all these other things. And then there's this idea of, there's not a lot of good quality guys out there. Women are still getting married. Men are still getting married. And so I don't want to sound like a Kevin Samuels or something like that, or I don't want to sound like I'm bashing one side or the other, but we got to be honest and say, look, if there was leveling up that was being done from high school to middle school in your zone of where you need to have a husband in order to have the amount of children you want and stuff like that, if it wasn't being done, then that falls on the responsibility of that person. And the church isn't pushing them to do that. So I think that the problem is guys have more time, right? Guys have more time to grow. Guys have more time to get more mature and level up, so to speak. And women have to do it faster if they want the goals that they're trying to achieve. And so when we say, there's a lack of quality guys and stuff like that, I think, no, there's a lack of quality guys that want that person. I don't want to say you because I'm not talking about you, but metaphorically, you. There's a lack of quality guys that want you. And so
I think there might have been communication, because I think that when I specified we have to be accountable as women to hold ourselves to a certain standard, and we have to understand that when wanting to be a wife, it is different when you are just, being sought after for, dating or something that is quick, or if you're just being enjoyed. I don't care how many, dates he takes you on, how many gifts he buys you. We understand the difference between like intentional courting and just having fun. So I completely understand and agree to, like I said, holding yourself to a standard and being taught a certain way, and just being a specific type of woman that, like we say, quality men are looking for. I never articulated that there's a lack of quality men, because again, we have to factor that each individual is different, right? What type of dating pool are you in? Where are you at? What state are you? All of these things are, very important factors. But I think that what a lot of women try to convey, and it can come off as, again, like victimized mindset, is like, I just don't seem to have these quality guys in my area or where I'm at. And I think that, I like the fact that you said you don't want to come off as Kevin Samuels, because, right. I mean, I know that he might seem like an aggressive type of person, and he might kind of come off as nonchalant, or a lot of women don't agree with a lot of things that he says. And I understand, like, I'm a woman, so I can get how some things can, hurt someone's feelings. But I also think that one of the main things that he stands for is, again, accountability. So even if that means taking yourself out of your usual environment, and if you find yourself, being in a situation where you're like this great woman and you feel like you have all of these characteristics and you're spiritually inclined, and if you feel like you're checking off all of these boxes, then maybe you should just, position yourself and move yourself to a different type of setting. But I agree with you, but I guess my rebuttal would have to be the thing that none of us have control over, and that's been one of the main issues since the dawn of time. It all goes back to upbringing, childhood, cultural standpoint. Not everybody has had the luxury, unfortunately, and I'm not talking about the standard parent household. Not everybody has not all of these little girls are being poured into or being loved on, taught how to be loved correctly. I can speak for myself. I have my father and my mother. My father is my first love. He taught me how to be loved correctly. He taught me how I'm supposed to be treated by men, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm supposed to carry myself as a woman. Hold on.
Did you get pulled over?
No, it's a fire truck.
Oh.
So
I was like, Chris is an attorney. He can help you out.
No, it's just a fire truck.
They would not to do.
Yeah.
Sending prayers to whoever they're going to, actually. But to just be short-winded, I think it's a twofold. For me, the 50-50 is if we listen to the men and to the standpoint of especially if we are getting up in age, because 23 and 24, I'm sorry, I disagree with Mr. Samuels. That's still fairly young. You still, and I'm not saying to not have marriage in mind. I'm saying you should not be worried or scared if you're 23 and 24 and unmarried, because that's still very young. Women, and I'm not saying that I want this or agree with this. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There are women 40 and up having children and getting married. I'm not advocating that, because I don't even want that for myself. But all I'm saying is that it's very much possible. Again, each individual, different situation. Okay. But I say that to say that we listen to our men, right? Whether that's your father, your brother, your uncle, cousin, all of that. If you listen to the men in your life that have their head on straight and that have, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
You good? Okay, now she got pulled over.
No.
Okay, so this is the. You made a lot of good points. The only thing the reason I made the point that I made was because there was it's a 4-to-1 ratio statement that was made, and then that statement was followed by, for the guys, the eligible ones, the ones that I would want.
The point though, you made a great point. The 4-to-1 ratio is in the pool of the kind of standard that women talk about, that they want the high. Let's call it spade a spade. When we talk about wanting the high value man, right, we know that that's the woman 4-to-1 ratio, because we know that the higher that a man gets on the food chain, whatever echelon he is in, we know that it's slim pickings. We know that it's
he can pick whatever he wants.
Okay, right. So would you say women's standards are too high?
No. Hear me out. I think going back to what I'm so sorry. Give me your name.
Zach.
Okay, yeah. So when we talk about wanting to be married, and if you want a certain type of lifestyle, and what does that lifestyle afford, right? And if you want to be the wife of a certain type of man, you know what I mean, that has chosen to work hard enough to be in whatever said industry, right? That does not entail being lazy and content. I agree with that, and I probably would get my head on a chopping block, but hey, love to everybody. I do think that it is a woman's job to basically. I know for myself, if God willing, I continue to have time on this earth, and He allows me to be a wife and a mother, and I know that I'm with a man of a certain, whether my man let me be clear, however much your husband is, your partner, your spouse is making, should not dictate your respect for him, because submission and respect and everything should come naturally out of love. Right. So I want to be very clear on that. Yeah. A man's dollar amount in his bank account should not dictate how you respect him. I want to be clear on that. Right. But when you do want a certain lifestyle and you want a certain level of comfortability, I personally love my career, so I do want to still work even after being married and stuff, at least part-time. But with that being said, I know that it is my duty as as my husband's wife, as a mother of my children, everything that I'm doing now, the way that God is molding me and the way I'm sharpening myself and the way I carry myself from what I speak to what I eat, my working out, all of this stuff is being groomed into the wife and mother that I'm going to be.
Okay. So you said a lot, and it's a lot of good stuff. I just want to address one thing. Okay. There's this book that it's a great book. I would recommend it to anybody. It's called
You wanted to get sponsored by him?
It's called His Needs, Her Needs. And I'll say this: the problem, since we're talking about it, the problem. Hey, everyone, stay out of the comments. Let me address this. The issue is this: when you say, "Hey, I want this kind of wife," or if you want, "I want this kind of wife," or "I want this kind of husband," or whatever, then you need to say, what is that person looking for, right? The interesting thing about this book is that it talks about men have needs, women have needs. They are different. So I tagged what this person said down here. As a woman, I bring to the table what I'm asking for. A lot of the guys you're looking for aren't asking for that. And this is where I will say that I agree 100% with Kevin Samuels, is for some reason in the church, there's this idea where the needs that a man wants and the needs that he has are superficial because I don't really understand them. Those aren't the needs that I want. And I'm going to bring the needs that I have to the table. So I'm going to bring to you what you would want, rather than I'm going to bring you what I realized you want. And so when you do that, when you don't do that, the problem is those guys don't end up wanting you. And then you complain. I'm not saying you. I'm saying you, but I'm not talking about you. And then so you complain, and then you're like, oh, well, he wasn't meant for me. God's got someone else for me. If the person that God has for you is someone that has the exact needs you have, then you're saying God's calling you to be a lesbian. Because the guy you want doesn't want those things. He's not looking for those things. He's looking for other things. So when you don't bring the things that he's looking for, just like if he's not bringing the things that you're looking for, what do you expect the results to be? Hold on, I want her to answer this one. I want her to answer this.
No, I mean, unfortunately, you have to understand we're living in a society where feminism is projected on such a strong, high-level platform. I think feminism is good in the workplace and in certain areas for equality. Like, women need equality, and, you know, we need to fight for things, you know, in other realms. But when it comes to a relationship, I'm very traditional. I can only speak for myself. I very much am traditional in so many ways. It's from how I was raised. And like you said, the kind of needs that I require as a woman, I would never expect a man to want or require those same needs, because first of all, I'm emotionally wired by nature. You know, that's a fact, whether it's spiritual, science, no matter how you want to cut it or slice it. You know, I'm already going to be emotional. I'm going to carry out and do certain things that he can never do anyway. Like, we have roles for a reason. And with that being said, yes, like, you know, as far as like the typical topic of finances and the breadwinner, like I said, I love what I do, but, you know, God blesses me with a husband that makes significantly more than me, or just a certain amount more. It doesn't matter. But with that being said, I know that the person that I would want to be with would be able to, you know, carry out and live a certain type of lifestyle with or without me. So with me being added to his life, you know, I know that he's going to require me to want to add certain things that peace of mind, you know.
Are you driving? Are you driving?
No, I'm pulling up to another spot.
Okay.
So well, I know that there are going to be certain things that he would require of me that he can't get. You know, that it's not about, like, we talk about this all the time amongst men and women, but like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to care about my level of income. He's not going to care about, you know, what kind of, being like the homie or this. I know that people say they want to be with their best friend, but there are just certain things as a woman, like someone he can confide in, like just peace. Like, what kind of mother am I going to be? My nurturing, just certain things that I feel like come naturally as a woman, especially when you're taught those things that he is going to be seeking in a wife.
So I'm going to give you guys a quick shortcut. A quick shortcut so you don't have to do the statistics yourself. So they surveyed thousands and thousands of married, single, in relationship men and women. And they found that, generally speaking, there are outliers, but generally speaking, these are the 5 top things that men desire in a marriage. These are the top 5 things that women desire in a marriage. So go ahead, get your notepad out. I'll give you a few seconds so you can go ahead and write this down. Anybody? Women. For him, what came in at the highest, number 1, top of the chart thing in the questionnaire?
Financial security.
No. For him, it was sexual fulfillment.
Wait, what the man requires or what the woman?
What the man wants.
This is what the man wants.
Okay, I was like, no way.
Hold on, wait. Let's rephrase it. Needs.
Okay, my bad. So we're doing what the man. You're doing the man first. Okay.
Yeah. So with the man, because I'm giving the ladies the tips first. So number 1, sexual fulfillment in marriage, obviously in marriage.
Yeah.
Number 2, an attractive spouse.
Yeah.
Number 3, recreational companionship.
Yep.
Number 5, respect and admiration.
Big one.
Number 5,
You
domestic
4, okay.
support. Oh, did I say 4 before?
You said 5.
Okay,
So
5. Okay, so number 5, number 4, domestic support. And it's the only top 2. The only ones that are really they know are number 1 is number 1 and 2 kind of switch back and forth. But generally speaking, those 5 are the top. So for any guys, these are the top 5 for women. Now I know sometimes, okay, Hafiz, you're gonna get blocked. All right. So for her, it says affection, conversation, honesty and openness, financial support, family commitment. And so if you want a quick shortcut, and if you're wondering, hey, why are these guys not knocking down my door? I read my Bible all the time. I've been dancing with Jesus. It's about time someone else come and broke in, right? The problem is you're probably not he probably doesn't see you as fulfilling any of those needs. And
can you read that again? I feel like you kind of right by it.
Well, because there's not as many guys in here, but I'll read it again. Affection is number 1. Conversation, honesty and openness, financial support, family commitment, and then those 5 are not in any particular order.
Oh, I was like
the top. It's just still it was top 5. Like number 1 may be financial support.
Yeah.
So affection, conversation, that's 1 and 2. Openness and honesty, 3. Financial support is another category. Family commitment. He's committed to you and the family.
Yeah.
So, there we go. So yeah, just a quick little shortcut. But we've got someone else waiting. But I appreciate you hopping on, and hopefully you're in a safe spot because there's a lot of ambulances
stuff going on.
So
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm coming from work. It's fine. I'm fine.
Oh, gotcha. Well, thank you for hopping on, and if you don't already, make sure to follow on TikTok. And we share all these live conversations on YouTube as well. So make sure to, if you're interested, check out the YouTube channel.
Will do.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, we got Christina, and then Hafiz, you're up next.
And I had to use a restroom.
Loyalty is family commitment.
Hey, you guys.
What's up, Christina?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, oh my goodness. I'm like, there's been so much talked about tonight. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because time. One, I want to just say the whole analogy, and I know you guys might know I love analogies by now, of bringing something to the table, right? You don't want to bring something to the table that's already there. So if we think about that, in real life. If I'm having dinner, if I'm serving dinner, and I say I have the main dish, right, and I have the dessert, I need you to bring sides. And they say, well, no, I'm gonna match you. I'm gonna bring more dessert and another main dish. I'm gonna be like, why? It's not what I need. I already have that. I need my side dishes, right? I need some bread. I need, the vegetables, whatever the case is. And so what you need at your table isn't what you already have. And I think there can be such a misconception that I want somebody like me, right? It's like, no, you want somebody like Christ, but you also want somebody that's going to be able to fill those voids that you have, those areas that are not your strong suit. You want somebody who's stronger in those areas. If you talk a lot and you have a really strong personality, you're probably going to want somebody that's more timid, right? Because they're going to be able to listen and hear you, and then you're going to learn from them, like, dang, maybe I didn't need to use so many words, like I want to be more concise. So you need somebody not that brings the same thing to the table, but that brings what you don't already have, right? And that's how you have a full meal. That's how you have a full marriage. So that was one thing I thought about. And then I wanted to just go back. I don't, the whole car thing. And I know you're saying, and I'm sorry to bring this back up, and I know you're saying it's like, yeah, but you're shopping, and what if they're not actually looking for marriage? Because earlier it was said that if you shouldn't even that could scare somebody off if you say that you're not wanting to be married or that you want to be married. Your intentions have to be clear from the beginning, right? Like the same thing with car shopping. If I know, okay, if your credit is bad, if you don't have money for a down payment, if you're going to require a cosigner and you're not in a place to purchase a car, why are you even going and wasting time at the dealership? Right? That's not where you need to be. Your focus needs to be on getting your credit score up, paying off your debt, getting to a position where instead people are asking you to co-sign. Don't do it. Don't do it. Biblically, it says not to. Shout out to Dave Ramsey. But Financial Peace University, little plug. But I say that to say, why even waste the time of the dealership or your time? You're misplacing your energy and effort, right? Instead, get right first and then get in a position where, I can buy a car. I have the down payment. I know what I'm looking for in a vehicle. I have the credit score to back it up. And I have what it takes to be able to maintain the vehicle after I have it, right? Do that and then car shop, right? So why are you even dating if you're not in a position to marry? And I know people are saying, well, not everyone's looking for marriage. Well, if you're not looking for, as Christians, as believers, there is 0 point of dating if you're not looking to marry. If marriage isn't on the forefront at all, if you're not interested in being married, then why are you dating?
Yeah, that's
true.
What
I'm saying? So
okay.
So I think we need to prepare more for marriage.
I think people can take that. So I just want to, maybe you're saying this, maybe you're not. I want to preface this and make sure that's not a legalistic, because I see some people will take it to the other extreme. What you said, and they'll make it legalistic, and they'll say, "Oh, so I shouldn't date at all unless I'm already ready to marry, and I know that I'm going to marry them and stuff like that." I don't, I don't know. I think you're focused. If you know you're not where you need to be, financially, physically, spiritually, whatever, your main focus should be leveling up, as they say. But I don't think it's terrible if you are in the dealership as long as that's your main focus, if that makes sense. Now, if I'm not in any way, shape, or form prepared for any of this stuff, so I can't, that's a whole other story. And I think that's more so what you're saying.
So, I mean, maybe this is, you could apply this or not. I don't know. Playing devil's advocate or whatever. But so y'all have never gone into a dealership and was like, hey, let me look at this Bentley. Let me test drive this Bentley to kind of check it out to see, see if I would like it. Obviously, you don't have the money to afford it right now. Obviously, X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. But y'all have never done that then?
No, but I could see doing that if you're working towards being able to get the Bentley, right? So even dating, if you start dating somebody knowing that you're not quite where you want to be, you're still in school, but you're graduating in a year or two, but marriage is still on the forefront and that's still the goal, the end goal, and that's where you want to end up, then dating is still okay. because you're not going to marry them tomorrow, right? But you're still knowing that that's where you want to be, and you're using that as motivation to get prepared, right? So you see that Bentley, and you see,
but that also doesn't mean you're going to get that Bentley.
But here's
too.
Here's the other thing. This is the other thing that we need to.
By the time you're ready for it.
Here's the other thing we need to keep into perspective, that the original person that brought this point up, which I kind of disagree with, is we're talking about cars that don't have a soul. We're not created by God. Don't have any value. You know, like, we still got to treat people. People are still intrinsically valuable just because they're created by God. You know, like, they have a soul, they have feelings, they have emotions. Cars don't have that. So while I understand the analogy, we probably don't need to, you know, if it applies to a car, then it's okay. You know what I mean? I think we could get into dangerous water running all the way down.
Right. Which, if you think about that, it's even more important in dating to not be wasting the time of that person who does have intrinsic value, who is precious to God. And because what's going to happen is you could end up hurting that person, and then they have to spend all this time healing to get to a place where they're ready to marry again, because maybe they were and you weren't, right? And so I do also believe that you can be in a relationship, hopeful to marry, but not necessarily this person, right? And then it doesn't work out. God can still use that. Right? God uses everything. Anything we give to him, he uses. It doesn't mean you have to marry them. And if you don't marry them, it doesn't mean that it was a complete waste. Can you guys see me? You're all buffering.
We can hear you.
Okay. It doesn't mean it was a complete waste if it doesn't work out. But if you go into it selfishly knowing that you're not looking to marry, and you know this person is in a position where they want to, I think that that's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. And that's, yeah. It's letting people know at least your intentions. If you know you're not going to marry them, there's no point in wasting their time. Right. So thanks again for hopping on. It's always great to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a good day. Appreciate it.
Let's bring on the male feminist, Hafiz. Hey, if you guys don't know, if you guys like male feminists, go follow him, ladies. He's all about the girl power.
y'all setting them girls up, bro.
What's up, man?
What up, guys?
What's up?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
What are we doing tonight?
So the topic started out as just what are some lies that has kind of crept in to the church in terms of marriage, relationships, that isn't true. And then I forgot what the last topic we were on, but it turned into there's not enough guys. There's a 4-to-1 ratio with men and women or something like that, which is more like 51-49. But anyway, so we've touched on a lot of different topics in regards to that, and so people have just shared some of their thoughts of what are some lies or things that they believed in dating that in church, that they've been taught in church, that's not necessarily accurate, especially like the Bible and stuff.
Okay. Am I supposed to answer it?
No, I mean, just share your experience, your opinion, things like that.
Dating with intention, Hafiz.
That was
should you be dating with the intent to marry?
Should you be?
Yeah, should you be?
Depends on what season of life you're in, and it depends what you mean by dating. If you ask me,
dating, I
have two definitions of dating. Generally, I have casual dating. I have commitment dating.
Commitment dating.
Yeah.
Like you're official, like basically kind of what you were saying, Chris, about exclusively dating type of thing.
No, not that. So to me, what do you define as dating? What is the definition?
Dating at its base level, I would say literally just going on dates, getting to know somebody. That's what dating is.
Yeah. So I agree. So to me, there's like getting to know somebody, if we're just being honest, it's not a sin. If a man's like, oh, I would like to get to know her, there's nothing wrong with that. He's curious, he's interesting, she's engaging. Or if a woman wants to get to know a guy, or maybe 3 guys, you know. You know, it's not a sin. It's not a sin if you're just genuinely getting to know people because you're curious about them. And so to me, that's the casual part, where you're genuinely getting to know people to learn. Maybe you're a woman who has not been around a lot of guys. Maybe you came from a small town and you went to college in a new city. You're like, oh, I wonder what guys in, you know, Birmingham or guys in Houston or guys in New Orleans or guys, I'm just interested. And so to me, I think the casual is an evil if it's genuinely you're just trying to get to know people. I think it's actually good because then you get to realize what's real and what's not.
And do you think you need to go into that type of dating with the intention of marriage?
No.
Casual?
Yeah.
No, I think casual is a whole different mindset.
Okay, I'm talking, I guess what we've been talking about, or maybe it's been lost in translation or something, is like an official committed relationship.
Me personally, I think that's wrong.
What is? Explain. What's
going in with the intention?
Yeah, to me, it's wrong to be in a committed situation. I can't say it's wrong because everyone's mindset is different. I think it's unwise. I can't say it's a sin. I can't say it's wrong. I think it's unwise. If you're not looking at the end results into marriage, I think it's unwise because what's going to happen is somebody's going to get hurt.
Yes, always. 100%.
Someone's going to get hurt because one of the two is going to want to be with the other person. And what I realize what happens the most is a lot of life is built upon unspoken expectations.
Right.
Like everyone expects, there's a way Zach expects me to treat him. There's a way Chrissy Love expects me to treat him. You know, and if you don't articulate your expectation, that's where things are being frustrated. Mm-hmm. Right? There was a time I was mad at C Love because in my expectation, you know, you're supposed to if you're a friend of a friend, you should be friends. But that's my expectation. That's not his. I can't put that on him. So if I don't articulate that, I can't be mad at him. And so I see that a lot of times when people are dating, you ask them what they're doing. Someone's expecting one thing or another. You know, I went off the other day, and I'm sorry I'm rambling. I went off the other day. I went off to
stay focused, man. Come on.
I bet Eddie sent me something. I went off the other day, asked Sarah, because there's this young lady who I gave her really good advice. And part of the advice I gave her was, you guys never listen to my advice, and it's pointless. I specifically told her you should not be dating at all. I said, yo, do not do this. I told you this. This was the second time I told this girl this. Oh my gosh, man.
I already saw it. I was waiting for you to see it.
Oh man. This guy has no life, man. This guy is so lovely.
See, I'll be honest, every time Hafiz comes on, he brings with him those guys that have the weird avatar as their picture.
These men are so in love with me. I don't know what's going on. Nothing wrong, man. Love is love, man. Celebrate pride. But they follow me and they're doing all kinds of stuff, even when I'm not interested in talking to them. But hey, you can love who you want to love, man. It's 2022. Nevertheless, so I gave her the advice. I was like, yo, you should not. So funny. I gave her the advice that you should not be dating, right?
Yeah.
She sends me a picture the other day of a guy. She says, hey, Hafiz, I just want to let you know, thank you so much for your great advice. I found this amazing guy. He's great. He said he already says I love you. You were single a month ago. What's going on? Anyway, he already says I love you. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the third. You know, though he's not the ethnicity I want to marry, I think he's a great guy for now. Thank you so much. Like, what?
A great guy.
I was like, I'm like, yo, like, in your brain, he's just
pass by time.
Yeah, like he's like a Passover guy, whatever they call it, like an in-between guy. And in her brain, she just wants to be loved, to be in a relationship, but not knowing that this guy is like viewing her as wife. Wow. You know what I mean?
Bro, I think a whole lot of people do that, just generally.
Exactly. And to me, that I was so mad at that girl. I didn't respond because I wouldn't say the nice thing. But that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is wrong. Like, that dude's giving you his whole soul. But in your brain, you're just like, dang, I don't want to be lonely. I'll make it my boyfriend and just have some fun in the meantime till the other guy I want comes around.
And that's where I think, like, I draw the distinction between we were talking earlier, I don't know if you were on, but earlier we were talking about, someone brought in the analogy of test driving cars. And they're like, yeah, you can just test drive a car. It doesn't mean you have to buy it. And it's like, cars don't have souls and feelings and emotion, you know? And so, but, you know, it depends on your intention. If you are literally using someone, knowing their intention is this, and you are intentionally not telling them your intention because you just want to feel loved for a second, you feel lonely, that's selfish.
So I have a question for everybody in the group. I agree with you 100%. That's why I truly believe this. I truly believe this, and I honestly am not the best at this. The number one sign of a really confident man who's really in touch with his masculinity is honesty. Deception is a sign of weakness. Lying and manipulation is weakness. So I have a big respect. I'm not saying this right for polygamous and polyamorous guys.
Right.
I have respect for them because at least they're honest.
Just be upfront with it.
Yeah, they're upfront. They're like, yo, I want other women. I want other wives. And he's honest. He's not lying and tricking and manipulating and saying this and saying that. You know, promise her you're the only one, but having 17 other on the side. I respect the honest. I think as a man, bro, if you guys are honest, if you're honest, you're like, yo, I'm just getting to know people. I'm just meeting people. I'm not looking for anything serious. If you're honest, you're honest. Right. And that's where I think men need to grow in. And I know I need to grow in as a man. But my question to you is, how do you feel about the guys who are like casually dating and are honest about not wanting anything serious? But then sometimes a woman will get mad at him because she will grow her feelings for him in time and then be like, you were doing all this for me. I thought you loved me. But the guy's like, well, I told you that from the beginning.
If he told you what it was from the jump, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't go in with the intention that you can change his mind. Unless y'all sit down and have a conversation and reevaluate where both of y'all are at. He's saying, you know what? I know I initially said this, but I want to do this now, X, Y, and Z. Then you got to take what he said, face value. Hey, He says, I'm just dating around. I'm not trying to get anything serious. Then that's what it is.
Right.
Period.
There's no trying to change his mind. Just if you want marriage and he doesn't, or you want something bigger, a bigger outcome and he doesn't, just leave and find somebody else that wants the same outcomes you want.
Right. I agree 100%. I think if he let his expectations be known right away, then, you know, I don't know what the confusion. I don't even know how that's even a tricky question.
Let me tell you, I can speak from experience. You know, I'm an extreme guy. I like lavish things. So to me, when I back when I was single, let's say I wanted to go to Miami. I don't want to go by myself. I'm like, yo, come along, come with me. You know, I send 5 texts out. Whoever says yes, they come in. You know, let's come on. You know. So what ends up happening is sometimes if you're a guy who likes to do nice and lavish things, like they will get mad at you. Like there was one time I was honest from the jump. I was just like, yo, I'm not interested in anything right now. I'm just getting to know women, this, that, and the third. But it was Valentine's Day, and I like Valentine's Day. So I was like, yo, let's go out. You know, let me buy some flowers, get some chocolate. I enjoyed it. But to me, it was like what I see sometimes, they judge you off your actions.
Right.
And ignore your words.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. My God.
And I think that's why, like, I just talked about this with somebody. Like, I think in the relationship, especially with men and women, like, there's a different, like, level of how we view certain actions. right? So like, you know, you could have somebody meet your parents, and it could be like, no, that's no big deal. Everybody meets my parents, right? And they can be like, no, nobody meets my parents, so that's a huge deal. So I'm thinking we're on, you know, this level of seriousness and X, Y, and Z. But to that person, they can be like, nah, this is no big deal, right? Same thing with like going on a trip together or Valentine's Day or whatever. So like, I think that conversation of, hey, look, this is what it is. I'm telling you what it is. I like to go out. I like to do these things. This is not me changing the level of how I see it in the moment, right? This is what it is. And I guess you just have to be, like you said, really blunt and honest about it, and kind of like talk to them and let them know what they're getting into and what they're essentially signing up for. But like, even with like women and men too, sometimes I guess you got to be very specific,
Right.
And let them know, hey, this is exactly what I mean. This is exactly what it is, and that's what it is.
So yeah, and I think that situation that you described is somebody. I pinned this because I want to address this comment. So ignore actions. Got it. Okay, I'm pinning that. So he just said that the actions and the words, someone's getting confused. If you're confused, you ask for more validation to see, okay, did you change your mind? It's communication. You still have to ask. You guys have to speak. It's communication. So it's not saying ignore actions. Got it. It's saying be an adult, conversate, have a conversation, and you know, if you're the guy in this situation, you know, like you said, open and honest, and say, hey, I like Valentine's Day. I do this, you know. Now, there shouldn't be an expectation of every action he's got to have an explanation for. If you don't know or you're confused, ask. Have a conversation.
Right. You know, I like what you said, and I think even to that point, it's like, I love what Chris said. Everyone's actions are different. Right. You see, I'm the kind of guy, I pay for everybody. If you're coming out with me, unless I don't got the money, I pay for everybody. You know what I mean? That's how I am. So I just think it's very important.
I still have that receipt you told me about. You said you were going to pay for the dinner that we took you out to the other week.
Yeah. And so to me, I think that's where, like, when women are like, "Why do you do so much?" To me, it's like I like it. Like I would ask my homie to go on vacation too. I'm like, "Yo, let's go hang out in Miami. Let's go hang out here." So I think a lot of people look at it like, and this is the part that I disagree with. If I enjoy something that seems lavish, and you enjoy receiving lavish things, how am I the bad guy? Because the problem that I've also seen, men and women both do this mistake. You don't realize there's people who are different from you that other people can experience. While there is a lot of godly women in this community that Zach has built who want marriage, there's a lot of women right now who are just focused on their career and they don't want nothing serious. Right. They actually prefer those setups where it's like, oh, we just hang out, have fun, nothing serious. I don't have to commit to you. I'm not saying that's ideal or it's godly. I'm just saying that's what they prefer. Right. And so I think sometimes a lot of people don't realize that someone's behaviors has been influenced by the people he's around, and they've created this new expectation where some things are okay, where to other people that's hurtful or manipulative or whatever it may be. Right. That's why, as Zach said, you gotta be able to talk about these things. Exactly. You gotta be able to have these conversations. Right. That's how.
And we have one more person in the joint thing, but I want to address this comment that I pinned. She was the one that said ignore the actions. Got it. I agree, but you should pay attention to his words. But it's easy for women to get caught up in how well a man treats her. You're right, but that's part of being an adult and asking questions and figuring things out. You can't just assume that because you feel a certain way.
Don't assume nothing in a relationship and dating.
You can't assume anything.
Right.
He hasn't made any commitments to you. He hasn't made any promises. The only time you can maybe assume is when you're married, and there's this promise that he already made and you made. But even then, you still need to communicate.
Right. And I'm going to be honest. Like, and I think this is true for every single man. Like, if a man wants you, like in that capacity, on that level, he's going to go get you. He's going to put in the time. He's going to let you know. He's going to be intentional. He's going to do everything he needs to do in order to lock you down, right? If he really wants you in that way, right? He's not even going to leave some type of indecision or like guessing game with you being like, oh, well, she could be thinking I'm doing this or I'm doing it. No, he's going to be like, no, I'm going to be honest. I want you, right? And I want you to be my girl. I want you to be my woman. He's going to do that. So if he doesn't do that, or he doesn't do that at that moment, either he's going to do it down the line or he's not going to do it at all, period.
Right. So the actions and the words will match up, right? That's how it is for most men that want the woman that they're dating. Everybody's not the Tinder swindler, right? Like, they're going to just lie. Their actions and their words are just lies, right? So, yeah, make sure the actions and the words line up.
So I have a question for everybody, all the three guys, and then you guys can kick me off and bring whoever else you want. When a woman is really nice to you, how do you think she feels about you?
Who's going to go first?
Well, Zach, you married, so you go first.
Yeah, I'm kind of an expert on this topic. No, I would say if she's nice to me, it depends. I've over the years, Hafiz, like trial and error, we've had to adjust the radar to see, okay, does she like me? Does she like me not? And so sometimes I was in a place where I thought, oh, she's nice to me. She likes me. She's interested in me. But I've learned that that's not always the case.
C-Love?
Repeat the question.
I said, so if a girl is really nice to you, how do you think she feels about you?
I mean, just being nice to me doesn't mean like she likes me. It could just mean she's a nice woman, right? I mean, there are women like that. They're just nice people. I'm not going to say that necessarily means anything deeper than she's just a nice person.
Okay. Chris King?
I kind of agree with C-Love to a certain extent, but I also think like you can kind of gauge like the level of niceness and whether like they're flirting or not. And I'm not saying they want to get in a relationship or get married, but you can kind of gauge if they like, even if it's just, oh, they think you're attractive, right? And they're just being a little overly nicer to you because of that. You could, as a man, you can kind of gauge that and see, oh, okay, like, yeah, well, she just, she feeling me on that level. Not saying that's going to turn into anything, but you can kind of peek that to a certain extent.
I can tell you already built a theory around this, so let's hear it.
Yeah. So what I've noticed is you have two kinds of guys, generally speaking. All this generalization. Yeah. You have the guys who think her being nice means she's all the way into him. There's a guy like, hey, bro, you see that girl? She's looking at me. Bro, she's looking at everybody. She wasn't looking at you. Like, she's looking around the building. So there's some guys who equate niceness to attract. I have a whole other theory about that one. Is not safe for internet. I'll tell it to you privately. You want to know about that. But then you have the guys who just think she's nice. Like C-Love, like, I just think she's nice. Like, she's just a nice person. I don't think anything of it. So what I realized is that certain things that women do that are signs, they don't realize to other people that means something else. Like that a girl wrote in a comment, you can't tell when she's all googly-eyed at you. I know some women who would think that she's in love with them. True enough, so I was dating this one girl, and she's a really friendly woman, super friendly feminine girl. I was in the bathroom, and this one of my friend's friend came over the house, and she's super friendly. He's not used to that. She's from Atlanta, and she was talking to him, asking him questions, laughing, giggling. Later on that day, I find out that this guy thinks she was trying to have sex with him. And we were like, bro, where did you get that from? Like, bro, the way she was laughing and giggling and smiling. And I was like, bro, she's just a nice. So in his world, when women do that to him, he interprets it as they're trying to get with him.
Because his experiences have shown him that every time that happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the point when women say guys not know these signs. They don't realize that every woman is different. So if you don't communicate certain things, you're like, oh, it's obvious. To me, I think any woman who's flirty is just nice. I automatically think.
I tend to think that like that way first, because you can always go up. Yeah. It's hard to think more and then try to dial it back, right?
Exactly.
So,
the only reason I don't think that now is because I went down the wrong tracks thinking that for so many years. So no, right. I know what you're right. You're right.
And so I think that's where a lot of women have to realize that's why communication is key, because one signal to you is, oh, this is common sense, I like you. But the past 5 girls he dated, that meant she was friendly.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And so, and then I know a lot of women who are like, I'm nice, friendly to guys, and they all think that I want them. And I know some women who are like, oh, I'm really into this guy, but he can't get a clue. That's why communication, as Zach said from the beginning, man, it'll change the nation, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's good. That's good.
Thanks.
Thanks for hopping on and sharing that with us, man.
Yeah, for real. Appreciate you,
dog.
Always a good conversation when the feast comes on. We got one more last person, okay? But Christina asked a really good question. She said, how do we as women let someone know that our niceness is interest? I'll let you guys go ahead and answer that while I bring on the next person.
How do we as women, what was the question?
How do we as women, let
a man know it's not just them being nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to answer. Y'all answer.
Tell him. Be direct.
But women don't like
that. That's not going to happen.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Women are not good with dealing with rejection, so they oftentimes avoid any instance where they are put in a position where they can be rejected. So It's not like guys where they're going to go out and hunt.
I would say, and please take this with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to get into it today, but just work on your flirting game, right? Like make sure you're able to kind of flirt in such a way that he kind of knows you're feeling him, but you're not doing too much where it's like, oh, I like you. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to just work on your flirting game. Get a little creative.
So let me just say this. It's not on that topic, but the guy who was requested to come on, I guess maybe he was like one of those bots or something. He's not there anymore. So we have one more space for one more person if you want to hop on, but go ahead. You're saying working on the flirting game?
Yeah, I would say just work on your flirting game. I know. So for example, like as a dude, like if a woman starts like, and y'all know y'all do this, right? So like if you're talking to a woman in X, Y, and Z, and she starts like, for example, somebody wrote in the comments, like touching your arm or like doing like little small subtle things that obviously you don't do with everybody, or making like crazy eye contact or those little subtle things. Go watch Hitch, right? I think those are good ways to kind of, let you know, okay, she feeling me a little more than just, okay, this is just her being friendly.
All right.
Learn how to flirt. Shoot.
How do you practice that without just leading people on that you're not interested in?
Well, Zach, I got a question. When you was younger and at Troy and stuff, how'd you practice getting girls' numbers?
YouTube videos.
that, and you did it.
We did that at Henderson, remember?
But that's what I'm saying. How do you do it? You do it.
Yeah, you do it.
You do it. I mean, and it doesn't. And look, every time,
you can't be worried about looking stupid.
Right, that too. But everybody you flirt with, you don't have to have intention to get married with. Calm down, right? Like, because I know somebody thinking that right now. But no, like really, just have fun, get creative, and learn how to do it, right? I think everybody, and me and Afeez, we talked about this the other day and stuff too, like having that romantic capabilities, right? As a man, right? Or as a woman, like having that ability to be like, hey, I can be a little flirtatious, and I can let, you know, a guy know I'm interested without, you know, doing too much, or, you know, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to do that.
All right.
So how do I flirt but trying to stay away from being worldly? Flirting with the man of God, I feel like, is different. Do we wait until hold on, let me finish the question, man. Come on. Do we wait until he shows interest? Okay, I'll let you get this one, but let me just give a
you get it.
Let me give a practical example that someone shared with me. Right? Somebody said, and I think this would be an example of like what Chris was talking about. Somebody said, you know, a girl likes a guy on her campus. She's not trying to, like, you know, wear the tightest leggings and bend over in front of him and pull, you know, do something like that. But maybe she bakes some cookies, takes it to his, you know, dorm room or maybe cafeteria. I don't know. Other people around. Who knows? But she brings him some cookies that she baked, and then she says, "Hey, I made you these cookies. Maybe, you know, sometime we could meet up together to work off the calories together." Something like that, to where you're showing that there is interest there.
All right.
Right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that's still flirting. That's still, you know, I think those things are, you know, okay. Now, I think this is the difference, ladies, like guys and ladies. You can't always expect, like I said, most women are not try to run away from rejection. So they do not put themselves in that situation most times. They put themselves in situations where it's like, oh, that's why it's so ambiguous. Because like, do I want them to know? Because I don't want to get rejected, so I can maybe play it off as if it didn't happen. I'll give you an example. I did that in high school, right? So there was this girl. Yeah, maybe she's watching. Who knows? But it all worked out. So
you're married, Zach.
Right. I was about to say it don't matter now.
It doesn't matter now. But there was this girl that I was interested in, and I was so afraid of rejection back then that I was like, I want to ask her to prom, but I don't want to ask her to prom. I want to ask her without a way of her saying no. So I said, hey, you know, we have a track meet on the day of prom. I can't go to prom. So it kind of sucks. But in a hypothetical world, if I would have asked you, would you have wanted to go? And she was like, yeah, sure. And I said, great, because actually the coach said we can go to prom. And then she was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. You know, she was just being nice, and she ended up saying no. But in that same way, it's because I was afraid of rejection. I was so ambiguous or whatever, ambiguous. And so I think that a lot of times women do that with men because they're afraid of rejection. So, what do you think, Chris? What do you think a good way to do it would be?
A good way to flirt?
Yeah, like let them know you're interested without just being too nice. You said like touch them on the arm and stuff.
Yeah, I think like touching on the arm is good. I think like, you know, some stupid like laughing at his jokes, or like, you know, kind of kidding around with them and stuff like that. You got to be able to, like, people overthink that so much. Like, just make it comfortable, right? Just make it comfortable and relax. And I would say be yourself, but yeah, you kind of have to be yourself. You got to use what you got, right?
Right.
You got to use what you got to kind of, you know, get that little swag out of it, right? And yes, you can do it on social media too, right? Now, I will say this, from just a social media aspect, just from my learning, you have to, when you're trying to flirt with somebody on social media, or if you don't have like that initial, well, even if it is in person, you have to be creative, right? And you have to do something that maybe everybody hasn't done. You know what I mean? Because it's just like a job interview or whatever, going for audition. You kind of got to set yourself apart some way, so that person can like remember you, right? And if you're saying the same things, like I'm gonna say this: do never DM somebody or with a hey, and that goes for guys too. Like you're not, it's not gonna work. I can guarantee you. If you're just saying hey, HEYY or whatever, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
you gotta be creative. You gotta do something a little different. You gotta, man, go on Wild 'N Out and look at some of the pickup lines, right? Like, do something, right, that makes somebody a little more, make them kind of catch the eye, right? But the hate thing and like the simple things that everybody, like a billion people say,
right,
that's not gonna work.
And I hate to make it men and women, but it is. Most women won't be willing to do that, but I because like I said, they do not like rejection. That's why the majority of the times they are the one pursued, not the pursuer. Majority of the times, someone in the comments can say, "Oh yeah, I'm confident. I'm not worried." Maybe it's not you. Maybe you're the one outlier. What were you about to say, C-Love?
No, I'm just saying. All the creative text. Does it really matter? Really? If you're kind of like interested in that person, like for example, Chris. If this hot female, like she's just fine, DM'd you, yeah, it wouldn't matter if she said, "What's up, big head?" Like, you'd be like, "Oh, she's fine. Let me talk to her."
No,
it doesn't matter what she says.
Can I be honest?
Here's a point.
I think yes, to a certain extent, right? So like you can give somebody a little more grace based on your attractiveness to them, right? So it might not matter as much, but it still matters, right? So because you could be extremely gorgeous, right? But if you're like completely out of pocket to where it's just like, man, that was whack as heck, right? Then obviously it's gonna have a part to play. But I will say this: being attractive, men and women, you can get away with some more things, right? Like you don't have to be as funny as a Kevin. You know what I mean? It just has to kind of balance out to a certain extent.
He does have a point though, just in the fact that for women, and this is what we were talking about before, women and men are different. So while a lot of women may, like, I get what you're saying, Chris. You're saying it makes a difference, right? But it's not going to make enough of a difference if she's unattractive to you.
Right. For women, it
doesn't matter. Right. If she's unattractive, you could, and the best you could do in that point is like make him laugh a little bit, and then y'all could just be cool. That's about the best.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're a woman going to a guy's DM, it doesn't even matter what you say at that point, as long as you're not rude, right? Or like trying to insult the guy.
Yeah. So
wait, what'd you say?
I said it doesn't matter how women come to a guy's DMs as long as they're like respectful, right? And not trying to like be disrespectful toward that guy.
Depending on how you look.
If he's physically,
that's what I'm saying.
If you're not, if he's not physically attracted to you, there's nothing you can do to change his mind. Now, and that's a hard pill for a lot of women to swallow because they see it in a different light. They think men view them the way they view men. Men don't like, most times, there's always outliers. Most times men do not grow to, I just learned to be attracted to her. No,
that's a woman thing.
That's a woman
exactly
thing. So while I agree with the flirting and everything like that, I agree with that. Showing interest is fine. But you showing interest isn't going to make him interested. The way you come off and show interest isn't going to make him more interested or make him interested or not. If he's interested already, he may notice you. But if he's not interested, he's physically or from his standards, he's never going to be interested in that way.
And I'm going to be honest. Just my unpopular opinion. I'm going to be honest, though. We talking through like a social media aspect. Like, since that is the case with most men, like, you have to post more. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you got to reveal your whole, I'm not saying none of that, right? I'm just saying you have to post more so that man can kind of go on your page and look at your personality, see the kind of things you're interested in.
Well, see what you
if your page is just a bunch of memes, X out. No, for real. Because a lot of people do that. If your profile picture is not one that's showing your beauty and you don't post like, you smiling or you this or you do, if a man can't go to your page and see those things, chances are he's like, no, I'm good.
So
right?
I'm gonna say this. Me and Chris, we were roommates in college. We debate on
We
a
were
whole
all
lot
roommates
of
at
things.
one point.
We debate on a whole lot of things. But that is one thing that I 1,000% agree with. You cannot have a private profile and then your picture is like, they can barely see what you look like. So I saw somebody said something that said, well, how do you get a man interested? The only way that you can't get him interested if he's not interested already. That's the difference between men and women. Men, I would say to an extent, if you're talking about looks, every guy has a chance if they can level up to a certain level with its confidence, style, finances, all these other things. How many NFL players do you know that look like trolls and their wife is beautiful? You know,
yeah.
How many old men do you know that are, wrinkly old guys, but he's confident, he's a man of respect and power and all these things, and he's got a beautiful woman on his arm. So, I just want to make sure that you guys understand. Now, someone said this, and this is 100% true. Attractive to him. It's subjective. Some guys are into skinny women. Some guys are into the big girls. Some guys are into, but there is a statistic, like an actual curve that the majority of men like. Now, with that being said, knowing that, it's smart to try to fall into that curve as much as you can. Now, things you can't control, like skin color, eye color, things like that, you don't need to worry about that. But if you're 400 pounds overweight, only 1% of the male population likes that, and you've already cut the population in half by men, women, then you pick, okay, what percent of the population am I attracted to? That cuts down even more. What percent of the population is in my age range that I can marry? That cuts down even more. What percent of the population are believers? That cuts down even more. What percent of the population likes the 400-pound girl? Now, that's even smaller. And so the best thing to do is try to make yourself...
Position yourself to fall in as many categories as you possibly can.
Right. Without changing certain things that God just made you. Like, for example, if someone's like, oh, well, I don't like dark-skinned women. Okay, well, I'm going to try to bleach my skin. Not talking about that. Talking about things that you can control or you did control to make yourself that way. Now, if you have some sort of physical handicap or something like that, I'm talking about things that you can control. So
within reason.
Within reason. Not talking about, I'm not talking about...
Somebody just said, just become your best self. I agree. If you're actively trying to be your best self, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, especially physically, then you'll fall in the right category. But you have to. And people say, I say this all the time. Don't get me wrong. Like, I understand people. I heard a pastor talking about, hey, cake has to have substance. Be a woman of substance and all this good stuff. And that is so true. But don't neglect the icing. Right? Like take care of how you look, how you do your hair, like your physical beauty, because that stuff matters to men. And yeah, I guess there's some Christian men out there that don't care. Most attractive Christian men that you probably attract to might care about that. You might want to...
Exactly. To your best potential. Steph said it best. And that's the thing that I want to endorse this book again.
Zach, just call him and be like, yeah, I've been promoting your book. I need a percentage.
So here's the thing, and this is where I will agree even more with Chris on that, is that in the world, in the church, and even in just the dating atmosphere, the relationship, marriage atmosphere, and especially in church, everything has been filtered through a pink lens. And if it's a need that is not typically a feminine need or woman's need or pink lens,
that's a good question too.
It's viewed as, oh, that's superficial. That doesn't matter. And so Chris said, yeah, women of substance, but have the icing. I would argue that the physical attraction is the substance a lot of times for men, on top of those other things. Now, here's the thing that I'll say, because I said this on our TikTok live Friday. Now, what that means is there are a lot of attractive women and men, but since we're talking about this, say there are a lot of attractive women that have terrible personalities, terrible spiritually. And I am not saying in any way they have a chance, or they're once you get to know them, that is, the Bible warns against trying to marry a woman like that. But this is what I'll say. For all the women out there that you may be a little overweight, you may be not your best self physically, right? But spiritually and emotionally, you've already worked through that. That's the hardest thing to work through. Now and then you make to where you have the looks on top of that. That's where you set yourself apart. Because it's just like this. If there's a restaurant that has the best food in the world, but it's like the door is kind of like falling off the hinges, and the roof, there's a hole in the roof, and you saw
presentation matters.
You saw a rat running outside or something like that. No one's going to go in to experience that great food. Now, some restaurants, you're not going to get past the aesthetics from the jump. Some restaurants have a great atmosphere and everything, and they give you some basic, hey, catch the chicken, hey, chop up rice and chicken and shrimp, but because the atmosphere, they're like, okay, I'll put up with average food. Now imagine if that great restaurant said, hey, we're going to clean up our exterior, we're going to make it look good, and then now that other restaurant can't compete. So it should be encouraging to a lot of the women out there that are leveling up spiritually, or have already done that spiritually and emotional work, and now all that's left is the physical. And the sad thing about it is that some people in church and Disney and things like that will tell you that doesn't matter. No one's looking for that. Yes, it does. People do look for it. And exactly. when you don't do that, all you're doing is letting opportunities go by, because those men may really have been interested in what's inside, but they never wanted to get to know, because the exterior is not appealing in any way.
Right.
So I'm not saying that someone can get away with having looks and they don't have anything else. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to have both.
And touch on, because somebody had a good question, like what are y'all thoughts on a woman's physical appearance and fitness and modesty? Obviously, hey, I must be the horrible person for that based on my profile, so I'm not going to comment. But y'all can take that one.
Well, here's the thing I will say. Men and women are different. When women are looking at an attractive man, they're viewing him as, like, for example, you go to Chris's profile, you're saying confident, smart, financially stable, intelligent, all these other things, and then that's creating attraction. You're not just saying, most women, when they see an attractive man, aren't just going to say, I want to have sex with him. When men see an attractive woman, I'm just going to be honest. When they're attracted, they're thinking, I could have sex with her. I would enjoy having sex with her. Yeah. I would like having sex with her. Yeah. That's how men think. There was a study done on a college campus, right, where women were ranked on what an attractive man is physically. They got what was viewed as one of the most attractive men, an actual model that women ranked as very attractive. They got a model for a woman that was not really a top tier model or whatever, went around on the college campus, asked 100 women, and brought the model with them. And the model went and asked, do you want to have sex? Do you want to come to my dorm room and have sex? How many out of 100 do you think said yes?
Like 95.
No, the attractive man went to ask random women on campus, do you want to have sex?
Oh, yeah. Maybe 5, maybe 10.
0.
Oh, really? Wow.
0. And then the same thing was done with the men. And I think it was
like 90 of them.
Oh, everybody said yes.
Or something like that. Yeah. You know? And so the difference is that, so I just want to address that when people are like, oh, I'm lusting because of that. You're really not lusting the same way guys are. I'm not saying you should have an excuse, or you shouldn't be in your word, and you shouldn't be convicted of the Holy Spirit if he's telling you not to look at something. But women, you got to understand, men are different. So when you're looking at Chris's page or whatever, and you think, yeah, we're lusting or whatever. When women go, another statistic, women go to strip clubs, they are not going there seeking sex. They go there for a fun time with their girls, kind of joke around. Look at, he's dancing on me. Take a picture. Men are going there looking for sexual gratification. So that's the disconnect that I think you've got to understand how men look at these things. So when it comes to modesty, I'll say this. I don't think there's anything wrong with letting a man know you're attractive. I don't think there's anything wrong with having full body pics on your Instagram. I think that's a good thing, because then he can know if he's attracted to you or not.
Because if you don't,
if all your pictures are like this,
red flag,
or this, then how is he going to know if he's interested in you? So he needs to know he's interested. But here's another analogy that I'll give. Right? If you go to, since we were talking about cars, you see a car commercial. How many like Honda commercials do you guys see on TV? I'll let people in the comments respond, but how many, like, let's say Honda, Lexus commercials do you see on TV? See Love and Chris, everyone in the comments.
A lot, a whole bunch of Honda commercials.
A lot of commercials, right? What do you guys think in the comments? Honda, Lexus commercial, how many do you see on TV? A lot.
A whole lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Plenty.
So how many Ferrari, Lamborghini commercials do you see on TV?
None.
True quality doesn't need advertisement, because true quality, like, isn't for everybody and their brother, right? So and here's the other thing that I'll point out. In that commercial, that car commercial, if you're advertising 10 cup holders, got 10 cup holders in here, and someone comes to buy the car and says, I came for the 10 cup holders. Like, no, but look at the all-wheel drive, the power steering. No, I came for the cup holders. Then you can't be mad when someone comes at you wanting the things that you advertise.
Right.
So it is important to know, hey, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, they're still out there in magazines, and we're able to see them, and they're visible to us, right? But there's a difference between showing, like, hey, I'm in there's a full body picture. You see what I look like. I'm here with my friends or whatever, even a model picture, something like that. But, you know, you're twerking on video or something like that, and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother level. You're wearing,
because I know, I guess some people
you got booty shorts and thongs on, and then
he
you
want me to
expect
answer
men not to want
and
sex.
I'm gonna say it like this, right? Look, and I get this all the time. Look, I know what I post. I know my shirt is off in a lot of pictures. That's how I work out. Hate it or love it, I really don't care. But for me, in terms of the woman I kind of see, right? Look, I think there's a level to where, like, like, there's a line, and there's no, like, when you're trying to entice certain things. But in terms of, like, a woman just posting her body in a bathing suit, or, in a dress that's like really tight fitted and stuff like that, me personally, I don't have any problem with it. I think Megan Good, for example, I think she does a really good job of obviously still being sexy, and I think Sierra does a good job of it well, of still, like, hold themselves classy, but still, like, hey, they bad, they sexy women, and, like, you can see that, right? So for me, that, I'm different from most men. I'm not saying that, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that, right? To be honest, if you're like, and like Zach said, like, if you're, to a certain extent, if you're overly conservative, like, I mean overly conservative, to where, like, I can't even see your ankles, like, I can't even see your cat, like, for me, that's just not, that's not going to do it for me, right? And you can be gorgeous, right? But that's just not going to do it for me, right? I need to know, for me, just for me, that, man, my woman has, like, you can be sexy. You can be comfortable with being sexy, and still knowing where that line is and not crossing that line. I don't think there's nothing wrong with me, but hey, that's just me.
So Christian, I want you to answer this one. And Chris, I don't want to answer this one. Do men of God, they can't speak for everybody, but let's just say, do you want to marry a woman if you go to her page and she's like wearing booty shorts and thongs and stuff like that. And we've got one more person in the request.
Do I want to marry that woman? Probably not.
Wait, with thongs? Like, how many women are like really out in thongs? But okay, I mean,
I guess it's a small percent. I don't know. She was just asking, would you, if you saw someone that went to the other extreme, not the conservative extreme, not in the middle, but the other extreme, would you avoid that woman or not?
Yeah, that's a little bit too much for me. Because automatically when I see that, I think, ooh, I want to have sex. But I don't think, like, I want to take her seriously, if that makes sense. So just my initial, like, when I see that, I've already kind of, I mean, let's be honest, I've already judged it, right? Like, I've already judged you just based off the way you look. So, I mean, no. I mean, that's not somebody I would want to marry.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about the extreme, then like probably not. Like obviously that full extreme.
Right.
But if you kind of lean a little more on that side, I'm not necessarily gonna like, for me, and it's just for me, I'm not gonna like just be like, oh heck no, because I think it depends on like the quality. I think it depends on like the quality and the taste of the pictures, right? Too, right? So I mean, if you're posting stuff to where it's like you can clearly see you're trying to show off X, Y, and Z, right? It's not just, oh, you know, at a beach or whatever, and you know, you do certain poses, like that's like I get that, but it's like you're intentionally trying to be overly provocative.
Like let's say she has like an OnlyFans or something like that.
Yeah. That's not okay. I think that I'm sorry. I apologize for just intruding, but I think the thing that I wrote in the comment, it's more important to not just try to steer clear from that just because you want a man of God to seek you. I think it's important, again, going back to how you carry yourself before you're even in that relationship or marriage. Like, if you are trying to hold yourself to this high standard and being a woman of God and trying to honor God, even though we all fall short and nobody's perfect, but intention, even outside of dating, is important. Like, being intentional in what you do, even in what you post, is important. Even as a single woman, if I'm posting pictures in a let's just not, and I get what you're saying, Chris, with like the beach and vacation is different vibes. But if I'm just in the room and just for conversation purposes, to be explicit, if I have my ass out and I have on a thong or booty, like, we know what I'm trying to get at. And then sometimes women have the audacity to be surprised. Not saying that any woman should be disrespected. Let me be very clear. But
it comes with it. It comes with the territory.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, my thing is, I don't care if a woman walks outside naked. No man should ever try to hurt a woman physically or verbally. Let me be clear. But all I'm saying is, if you project and portray a certain image, you cannot. I mean, unfortunately, though, there are some godly men that will wife the women that do these types of things, and then there lies the confusion. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, but you see, all right, playing devil's advocate, like to a certain extent, like if a woman posted that doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't have all the other qualities he may be looking for, right? And then like he kind of knows that, hey, like this, I'm very sexually attractive to this woman, my wife, right? That's the woman he wifed, right? So I don't think it's really about a balance, right? And it's really about a balance, because I can't get mad for a dude wifing a woman that's gorgeous and she has everything else, like, you know, internally that he wants too.
But
hey, bro,
what is the underlining factor of it all, right? Like, why, if let's say if she's been doing this and that's what got him, right? That's what kind of like the clickbait. If that is now the woman that you have called to be your wife, at the end of the day, I get the whole, like, I want her to be liberated and I want her to feel free and sexy and blah, blah, blah. But like, when we're talking about dating with intention in the godly sense, at what point do we stop pushing the line? You know what I mean? Because like I said, take the marriage factor out of it. This woman is a representation to the young godly women coming up after her. And when we're talking about presenting ourselves in a certain light and trying to have these qualities, you know, like you guys, as all godly men, you have just justified that you can post a certain type of picture. Everything can be done tastefully, but to be damn near naked and have your, like, we know it, to be explicit, right? And to portray this type of image, but then to say I'm a woman of God and you're trying to put on this type of persona, in my sense, right? Because I feel like that's basically what it is. It's a facade at a certain point if we keep pushing the line and pushing the line. I get, again, sinners falling short, this and that. But it's the difference between trying to reevaluate my mistakes and to learn and apply from past experiences and walking in in the direction, having a clear understanding of where I'm going versus where I came from, versus really trying to, what I feel like, sabotage grace and just basically slap God in the face with so many things.
No, you're right. And I think you said at the beginning, what it boils down to is the intention. And here's the thing. There are gray areas, right? There are obviously gray areas. But God knows where your intention really is. And at the end of the day, that's who you're going to have to answer to. So like me and my wife, there was this girl that she used to follow, and she got mad about this post or something, or I don't remember, but she was doing yoga and stretching, and she was doing, the hamstring stretch where you're like this, where you just hear, okay, I'm just stretching my hamstrings. That was the only stretch she was doing, but the camera was on the other side. And then and so this is where I'll say she had the audacity to say, knowing that the majority of her followers were it was like 99% men. All the comments were always men. It said, guys, please don't sexualize this. And I can't read someone's mind. Only God can read someone's heart. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say her intention was just trying to get attention. And so I agree with what you're saying. I think what Chris is saying, and kind of how I think about it, is I think it's important to find a way to show off in a good way your characteristics, because we're not in an arranged marriage place anymore. We're in a free market dating place now. So the only way you're going to get those high value guys, they have to know you're physically attractive, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to, get naked, or you have to be, sexualize everything. Doesn't mean, and I don't know what I think about the beach picture. It depends on the picture. If it's I'm here and, like butts all up in the air behind you, like
or,
up here.
Or even like
the waves,
the gym. The gym is a great, like, I go to the gym and I just finished working out. I go to the gym in a sports bra, leggings, whatever, like even one of the comments, like, I agree, like I'm not trying to condemn anyone, right? Like, I like feeling sexy and pretty and beautiful and confident, et cetera, et cetera. All I'm saying, like, I personally feel like Sierra and Megan Good were like great examples.
So what do you think
because
the limit is?
I think that you just have to be mindful of everything, like, being publicized and what you might find comfortable. I would never want a woman to feel like restricted or like she's being forced into something, right? Like, but my thing is, if you are a woman, especially a believer and a woman of God, like, and your intent is to be a wife and a mother one day, I think that we just have to keep in mind that the choices that we make now, because I'm trying to speak from love, these choices will follow you. Especially, we know the internet is like infinite. Like, it's hard to get something deleted once it's posted. And it's just like, I just keep in mind, like, not wanting my children or my husband to look back at something that they would find, offensive, or something that would, sabotage our family. Like, I don't think that, like, even I'll go to the most dramatic degree. Kim Kardashian. A lot of people judge Kim Kardashian for, whatever, like this and that, for being nude or whatever. But I think that and I can't speak too much on it because I really don't pay attention to a lot of celebrity media, blah, blah, blah. But from what I've seen just go viral, I've seen like a transition from herself and a lot of other celebrity wives or mothers. Like, I just feel like there's a certain transition that happens, like, if you, from the sexiness and the free and the liberate, like, that single mindset and what you post kind of shifts a little bit. And let me be clear. I'm not saying that Kim just totally covered up after she became a mom.
You don't have to,
all I'm saying is I think that the mindset shifts. You know what I mean?
Right. And you don't feel that you have to preface everything, that everyone's going to take something out of context. But no,
but even then, everybody will. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. So, and women, like, just be prepared. If you take a picture on the beach or anything like that, there will be some guys coming at you, be like, "Oh, you're not really a godly woman," or this or that. I still get it to this day, right? So it comes with the territory, and either you can allow that to shape and mold what you post and don't post, or you can just be like, "Hey, I know where my line is. I know where my conviction hits, and I know I'm staying far from that." And if they can't get that, then that's on them, and that's not the person you're supposed to be with. And if they can, cool. But
I would say that he said, like, the key thing is this: he's going to be sure in prayer and discernment. Okay, where is that line? I'm actually going to follow my convictions. Some people are able to turn that off, though. Some people will say, "Yeah, I'm convicted, but Chris said it. Yeah, forget it." And they'll use that as an excuse. Stay in prayer. Stay in community, because Chris even has guys like me and some other people. He doesn't just do stuff and just post it. He runs it by people that he knows are God-fearing and stuff. He doesn't base it off of like what some guy on the internet said that has like 2 pictures or something like that. So
because it'd be always people with like memes as their profile picture or whatever. So
no, and you're right, and we're not in control of what other. It's lust of the eyes, lust of the mind, and I think
the heart.
Lust of the heart. Yeah. Where is it? Lust of the mind, lust of the eyes, and pride of
life.
life.
Yeah.
Pride of life. And I just think that, because somebody said you could be fully clothed. That is very true, especially for curvy women. Like, you can be fully clothed and a man can still just have disgusting thoughts. I can only speak from a woman's perspective. But I also think that, I totally agree that we have no control over what people think, say, or do. But our heart posture is so important, like you guys said. Like, I agree with both of you. But I also think that it's important, like you were saying, about how some people can kind of just like turn it off, like if you're not being intentional, if you're not being accountable, like if I posted, like if I'm wearing a certain outfit, right, and if I posted, like if I'm doing something knowing like I'm like, if I'm trying to bait, you know what I mean, like be prepared for what comes with that, you know what I mean? But if I'm just like doing me and like I feel good, I look good today, like hey, I'm about to take a few flicks, blah blah blah, and then I just look good, I want to share that I look good, I feel good. And then, if unfortunately the crap comes with it, again, like I agree with you, like ignore that, but be true to yourself. But definitely want to make it clear, like we know that man or woman, because Chris given himself as an example, because women can be very perverted too.
Right. Well, there's always outliers, but in a general sense, we're not going to be able to address every single situation. But at the end of the day, pray and do what God's called you to do, but be open and humble enough to say, hey, God may call me to do something I don't like. And that may mean, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that anymore. And maybe you grow to a different level, or maybe you don't. Who knows? But be humble enough to take the
constructive criticism or conviction.
The conviction. And you know what? This is something that I want to make sure of before we hop off, because it's been 3 hours now. And I know C Love's probably tired, but so I don't want to just bring these things up and all these things you need to do and then not give you solutions. And that's one thing that I think some people like, Kevin Samuels or some other people will do. We've got a guy in here that uses one of my meal plans. Chris does workouts. He comes up with workouts for people. And so if you are in that situation where you're trying to level up physically as a woman, I've got meal plans. Message this account right here. That's my personal Instagram. I just pinned it in the comments. And message Chris. He can get you a workout plan. C Love can do the same thing. I don't know if he's currently doing that right now, but you guys can do that. Christopher's with the fire. He's using my meal plan right now. And so just make sure that, you know, we want to leave you guys with the options and in the wisdom to grow, not just spiritually, emotionally, but also physically too. And we don't want to just bash and tell you what's wrong and not give you solutions. We want to offer solutions too. So, you know, if you guys have anything else, I think it was a great discussion, and I look forward to, you know, another TikTok discussion too. Next week is going to be a really controversial one. We've got a guest coming on that it should be interesting. So, yeah. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say before we hop off?
Oh yeah.
Hey, yo, stop. And hopefully next time. I mean, not that we're doing this for anything, but you know, obviously, you know, hey, if you could drop some badges and stuff like that, help the page kind of grow so we can do more things and have more meetups and travel different places. Like, hopefully, you know, we can take this thing and do some really big things with it. So, man, we all appreciate the support. We appreciate people jumping on, giving their opinions, tuning in, sharing it, doing all that, right? But those badges help as well. So we appreciate y'all any way possible.
Thank you.
Thanks. Definitely appreciate you guys joining us. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we'll be here ready to tackle these topics. Please follow the YouTube channel as well, because in the future we would like to go live on YouTube. So we would like your support there as well. But appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah. And then Bree, right? You got anything you wanna say before you hop off?
Yeah, I think this is a great platform. I think it's really amazing to hear men of faith, men of God coming from, you know, this point of view, because it's more, I feel like it hits different, you know, because of what we want and our morals and our, you know, our intentions. So I think it's really great. I think you guys should definitely keep going. It's only going to get better.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.